Hey everyone, we're up again with another beta stream, and this is the start of what's going to be a series of deep dives for each of the different classes. Basically, what I'm going to be doing in these streams is kind of setting things up as if I were doing a class guide video, like kind of laying out the abilities, trying to look for things that are new. I want to go through and test out the different talents. I want to kind of figure out, what builds make sense, and just really kind of dive deep into each of the specializations. And my goal with these streams is going to be to try to do 2 classes roughly per video, however long or complicated that may be. And since I had a request on the previous stream to check out Demon Hunter, I'm doing Demon Hunter, and since it only has 2 specializations, I figured the other class to check out in this video would be Druid, since they have 4, and that puts me at about 6, and that's what I should have. With the other classes going forward is 2 classes, 6 specializations per stream. And these are kind of going to be very like testing, research oriented, maybe not great for entertainment value, but I wanted to do this on stream and just kind of show off a little of what goes into like making those class guides and stuff, and also give people the opportunity to get like a super in-depth look at a class if they want to, and ask questions and all that kind of good stuff. So don't expect me to go off the rails unless there are like lag or server issues. Outside of that, yeah, we're good. So that's what you're going to be seeing on today's stream. You're going to be seeing Demon Hunter and Druid. So if you're not interested in those, I don't want to say go away, but like that's what the content's going to be. And we're just going to be checking out the different specializations, and we're going to kick things off with Demon Hunter. And I think we're going to look at Havoc first. We're already spec'd Havoc, and it should be pretty straightforward. I don't know that a lot of things have changed with Havoc. I think it's fairly similar. We will glance at and try out the Covenant abilities, and I also intend to see if I can't take a look at maybe at least one of the soul binds at some point. That might be a little too much for this video, but we'll see. We'll see how long it kind of takes to go through the different specializations. All right, so for the Kyrian, we have Elysian Decree. Place a Kyrian sigil at the target location that activates after 2 seconds. Detonates to deal arcane damage and shatter up to 3 lesser soul fragments from enemies affected by the sigil. Okay, so we have some of our own like sigils and stuff that we can use. Possibly. Maybe we don't. Oh, okay, we need to go into Havoc. Okay. Huh. Got Immolation Aura. Okay, so for all demons, we've got Chaos Nova, Chaos Strike. We've got Demon Bite. Fell Rush Glide, Immolation Aura, which is nice to have that on both specializations. So this is something that is new to Havoc, and it's nice to have this by default. And Metamorphosis, Throw Glaive, Taunt, Vengeful Retreat. Okay, so we do have a lot of stuff by default, and when we jump over to Havoc, we have Blade Dance, Blur, Darkness, Eye Beam, and then some passives. So the Havoc kit is super small by default. I'm assuming that we have... Yeah, we currently have all passive talents selected, so we may be able to pull a couple of things here. But it looks like... I'm not seeing anything that actually gives us a sigil to use. Did they totally take sigils away? I'm going to jump over to... Yeah, I don't... Okay. So it looks like we don't have access to any sort of sigils or anything like that for Demon Hunter. And that may be the case for both specializations. I'll have to see when I switch over. Havoc shouldn't have sigils. Vengeance is the one. You add talents to get things like Fell Barrage. Yeah, that's correct. And the reason I was kind of bringing that up is because with Kyrian, this is sort of like a, it basically is a sigil that you could have in Havoc, potentially. And so this is a 1 minute cooldown. So it's not a lot of damage being done. It's a chunk, but not anything super crazy. But shattering 3 lesser soul fragments from all enemies that are affected by the sigil is quite a lot of soul fragments. The question is, like, do we still need, like, how useful are those to Havoc still? Let's see. Killing an enemy sometimes creates a soul fragment that's consumed when you approach it, healing you for 20% of maximum health, which is really nice. If the soul fragment came from a demon, you will deal 20% increased damage for 15 seconds. So we do get... I mean, that is useful. That's a lot of soul fragments if you're in a scary situation that you can dump into this. If you hit 3 or 4 enemies with this, that's a ton of soul fragments. So yeah, let's keep that in mind as we test out some of the Havoc stuff here. Theory BP says Demon Hunter, I'm in. Sweet. Yeah, I expect these streams to be a little lower on the view count because they are going to be specific to classes, and I know, some people don't care about particular classes, so these aren't like general appeal streams, but that's totally fine. Okay, we have the Hunt. Oh yeah, the Hunt. Charge to an enemy of inflicting a big chunk of nature damage and rooting them in place for 3 seconds. The target is marked for 1 minute. Increase your fury from demon bites against them by 50%. Okay. So our demon bites generate 25 to 40 fury. So we're looking at something closer to like 35, like 35 to 60-ish. You may reactivate the Hunt every 30 seconds to teleport behind the marked target, ignoring line of sight. Okay, so that part is probably super irrelevant for just like being out there world questing and stuff. Probably pretty irrelevant for dungeons unless you're fighting a boss as well. You might get like one of these in. And man, the target being marked for a minute. That actually seems pretty solid in PvP, actually. That seems super annoying to be on the receiving end in PvP. Okay, so, I mean, that is a straight up just, like, big chunk of damage, though. 3,000 with the level squish is actually pretty good. Let's see. Our I-Beam... Yeah, our I-Beam does 4,800 chaos damage over 3 seconds. And you Demon Hunter players know I-Beam is like, oof. I-Beam is, I'm going to wreck everything in front of me. Like, it's super strong. So, 4,800 for I-Beam, and this Hunt ability is coming in at 2,800. So, not too bad. If you look, Blade Dance is hitting for like 700. Chaos Strike is hitting for 900. 600 for Demon's Bite. So, 2,800 is a big chunk. That's also why I said that this Kyrian ability wasn't too crazy. But you can see, like, even over here with this ability, we're hitting for, like, 1,300. Which is still really good compared to most of our other abilities. And it's hitting multiple targets. So, that actually does seem pretty solid. Now, I don't know if it's going to show us the Venthyr ability. It hasn't been showing it, and I didn't see an update that came in. Okay, we do have it. Sinful Brand. Brand an enemy with the mark of the Venthyr, reducing their melee and casting speeds by 30% and inflicting 4,700 shadow damage over 8 seconds. Activating Metamorphosis applies Sinful Brand to all nearby enemies on a 1 minute cooldown. Holy crap, that seems good. Wow. That seems really good. You like throw that on the toughest enemy Okay, like, okay, the numbers are big, right? But we got to think about this, right? This is on a 1 minute cooldown. This is really nice for a 1 minute cooldown. If you're fighting a rare spawn or an elite or something like that, you just throw this thing on there right away and then start going to town with your normal rotation. Now, hopefully that's putting you in a good situation, but if you're still like wanting to pump up that DPS or whatever, you can activate Metamorphosis in order to kind of push that further. But the thing with the Metamorphosis here is that Metamorphosis has a 4 minute cooldown. So that's like, I think the fact that this says apply that brand to all nearby enemies is super disgusting, like really good. But you got to keep in mind, like, you can't do that every minute. You're only going to be able to do that every like 4 minutes. And that's if you're in a situation where you want to use Metamorphosis, which honestly, if you're questing and stuff like that out there, like, you are going to want to use Metamorphosis as much as possible just to keep pushing your DPS. But there's going to be times when, you know, your Metamorphosis comes off cooldown and you need to wait a minute or two to be in like the best situation to use it. So that does seem really powerful though, just as a 1 minute 4,800 damage. That's disgusting. Yeah, I-Beam is about the same amount of damage on a 30-second cooldown. It does hit multiple targets by default. I wanted to see what was the cooldown on this one. 3 minute cooldown. Yeah, 3 minute cooldown. But this, I mean, this is definitely a different type of ability. It lasts longer. I don't know. The more I look at that one, the more it just seems like a PvP ability. All right, and then the last one we have is the Necrolord one. Fodder to the Flame. So this is an instant with a 2 minute cooldown. Oh, this is the weird one. Commission a duel to the death against a condemned demon from the Theater of Pain. Vanquishing your foe releases its demon soul and creates a pool of demon blood that lasts for 30 seconds. Fighting within the pool increases your attack speed by 20% and reduces the damage that enemies deal to you by 10%. Fleshcraft treats the condemned demon as a powerful enemy. That sounds so weird and overcomplicated. And like, when are you going to use this? This, I mean, it really sounds like a dungeon raid ability to me. Like, I don't see how this is going to... We need to go test this, because I need to see, like, how big is this pool of demon blood? How quickly can you kill the demon that you're supposed to duel with? Like, how tough is it? Like, are you... I don't know. It just seems so weird to spend time setting this up to kill this demon so that you get increased attack speed and reduced damage for 30 seconds, when, on the other hand, you could go over here and just be like, you know what, I'm going to push this button every minute and do 4,800 damage. So, yeah, we're going to need to take a look at these for sure. And I think just due to the nature of, like, the Hearthstone and all that kind of good stuff, we're going to want to check one out, like, right away. And then we can travel back here and take a look at, like, the Havoc rotation or something, and then go check out another one. So we'll do that. Lost Soul says anime time. Oh yeah, Demon Hunter anime. At first I thought you were actually watching anime, and then I was like, okay, Demon Hunter, got it. Especially since Havoc doesn't have a lot of self-healing options. That is very true. I think a lot of times you're just trying to, like, I-beam your way to victory and hope some soul fragments come off. But I don't know. I like that about Havoc. Havoc always feels like I need to push, and I survive because I get those soul fragments and heal. Pick good to... Are you maining Demon Hunter in Shadowlands? Is that your plan? Definitely need the I-beams. Theory says, still trying to decide my main. I've been loving Enhancement Shaman on live right now, and the changes look so good. Then Rogue changes look great too. Demon Hunter always appeals to me as well. Shaman Rogue are up there on the list for me, so we'll be getting to those pretty soon. Would it work with I-Beam Demon Talent? I'm not sure. I use Metamorphosis when enemies piss me off. Yeah. I use Metamorphosis. Like, when I know I have it up, I try to just do a huge pull and just destroy everything with it. Okay, so I am most interested in checking out this weird Maldraxxus ability, so we're going to go over there and check that out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at the rotation. I think that's going to take like a whole like 3 minutes because I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed like at all from BFA. But then we're going to dive into the talents and see what we have available, see if anything works differently, if we have anything new. I think a nice thing to do here would be to have Wowhead up. So I'm going to pull that up here because they're going to have the listed changes, and that'll probably help this go a little bit faster as well. Go ahead and mute that. I want to report a bug and be like, hey, this sound sucks. Okay, Demon Hunter class changes up on Wowhead. I'm going to link into this in the chat, and then that way if you guys want to pull it up and you have questions about anything specific, you can check it out as well. But this is what I'm looking at, and I think maybe that's what we'll do. We'll kind of run through the changes and test those out. So Immolation Aura is now baseline, right? So that's going to change the rotation a little bit, I think, because you're going to want to work that in now. And that's just a good ability. Like, I don't think that's going to feel bad. They now share the Fury resource. Yeah, Demon Hunter. So those are like the broad, like, class changes. So those are the only things that have changed to both specializations. Immolation Aura's baseline, which it was only Vengeance before. And the Fury resource is now the only resource, which it was Pain, I think, for Vengeance before. And I honestly, like, having Immolation Aura is going to be good for Havoc. And I don't know that it makes a difference what they call the resource on Vengeance, if it functions the same. Like, it was kind of weird to have, like, Pain and Fury. Like, I get it thematically. But I don't know if it's going to make a difference at all. Okay, so I want to go somewhere where I can make this pool and possibly, like, drag some stuff over to it. So we're going to go, like, right here. I could probably drag, like, 3 different enemies into it pretty easily, so... Okay, so this time it's a Fellhound. Okay, so this thing's not, like, super tough. Okay, now we have a pool. Let's see if we can bring some stuff into it. Alright, so our attack speed is increased. Okay. What do you guys think? I think this is super weird. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, how do you use this, right? Because let's say you're in a, like, in a raid situation, do you summon the demon thing? And I'm also curious, like, is it only you that can see it? Because I could see if you're in a raid situation and you're tanking, then you summon this thing, like, kind of where you're going to pull the boss anyway, and then everybody just nukes the demon, and then you pull the boss over into the pool, and you've got 10% damage reduction and increased attack speed. But, I mean, that was just, like, kind of awkward. Like, I don't know if I care enough about doing that. Like, there's so much setup with having to, like, pull the Fellhound over and kill it. I don't think I like it. But, I mean, okay, so Fleshcraft treats this demon as a powerful enemy. So if we use Fleshcraft, now we have 11,000 damage being prevented. So I guess what I would want to know, like maybe being able to get that guaranteed powerful enemy for your shield is also important. Because it says channeling near a corpse claims their essence to grow the shield up to 50% of your maximum health. This is most effective against powerful enemies. So by default, it does 20% of your maximum health for 2 minutes. Which 20% of my maximum health is like 4,000 health. So because I did this near a corpse and it was a powerful enemy, it gave me like the full 50%. It gave me a little over 50% actually. So I had 11,000 there. So I think what I want to see is I want to get rid of this shield. I want to kill one of these regular enemies and see what the difference is in the shield, because that could also make this ability a little bit better. I guess we're kind of getting a feel for the rotation here anyway. Seems about the same. I guess the one difference here is I should be working in like Immolation Aura when I need to build Fury, which was not then, so I should have waited to cast that until like right now, and now would have been a good time to cast it to rebuild Fury. All right, we got 1 second on the shield, and the shield is back up. So this looks like just a typical enemy. So let's go ahead and do the shield. Okay, so regular enemy, we got 4,423 damage. Okay, so that's a pretty significant difference. So I guess with this ability, you got to look at it from that light, right? Like, yes, you have to fight a demon, but then you have this pool. And then but then again, it's like you kill the demon and the pool drops and you have 30 seconds to use it. So are you going to spend 4 of those 30 seconds channeling your shield? I don't know. I really don't know. Use it. So are you going to spend 4 of those 30? Be quiet, me. Let's see. What do we have? Carlos said, what's going to happen with max level characters? Will they become level 50? Yes, they will become level 50, and you will level from 50 to 60 in the new expansion, which that's what Theory said. Leveling 1 to 50 won't take too long. It's supposed to take 10 to 20 hours for like an average player, but there have been people who have been doing like speed runs in like 4 hours. Immolation Aura base is great. Yeah, it definitely is. So I kind of wanted to point that out here. Like last time I used it at a weird time. Like right then it would have been fine. But it's better to like pop that as soon as you need to generate some fury. Same thing with I-Beam. Yeah, my timing's all off here. But that's fine. The point is really to test out this ability. Yeah, the idea is that if you start a new character, you can level 1 to 10 in the new starting experience, which I actually did on the previous stream, the VODs on the channel. It's really fun. It actually made me want to make more alt characters, which I definitely don't need, so I should definitely not do that. So yeah, here, like I'm capped on my Fury, so I want to dump some of this And then I can either I-beam or Immolation Aura. And this is where I think having Immolation Aura baseline is going to be really nice. Because there are times when you are waiting for I-beam. And I think you can kind of weave I-beam and Immolation Aura and just trade those back and forth between you know, groups of enemies or stuff when you're questing. Soul, you're saying you don't like this this ability, Fodder to the Flame. I'm not crazy about it either. I don't hate it. I can see the merit in it, but I definitely want to try the other abilities for sure. Now I know we have to hearth back from here, so we're gonna do that. Carlos says meh ability. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is like a sleeper ability. Like, it definitely does not look good for... It definitely doesn't look good for PvP. It doesn't look good for just running around world questing or leveling and stuff, because there's really no need for all that setup. But I think in a dungeon or raid scenario, it has potential. I also think... I think more so being able to generate that guaranteed powerful enemy to make your shield is going to be... maybe the sleeper part of it. All right. I think right out here... No. There are some portals around here somewhere. I need to figure out where they're at. So we're going to go hit up some target dummies. Hey, Ronnie, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in, man. Good to hear from you. I can see that as a tanking ability. Create the demon, slay it, get the damage buff, and reduce damage, then eat it for the shield. Yeah, I just... Well, the corpse stayed after the pool was gone. So the corpse stays there for a long time. So I can see, like, killing the demon and then using the pool, maybe on, like, a trash pool or something like that, and then just consuming the demon for, like, the boss fight or something to get that pumped up shield. Or maybe if there's a difficult pull coming up, you can, like, prep for that with the demon. Especially if everybody in your party can see the demon, because then you guys can just kill it really quickly. You know, like, it took me a minute to kill it, but if it was a whole, like, dungeon party doing it, that wouldn't be too bad. And then you could get that big chunky, you know, 11k shield or whatever out of it. I read they're making healer classes do more damage, or at least getting more damage abilities. Is that true? Not that I know of. I think they're largely the same. Am I in the wrong spot? Yes, I am. I think I am. No, I'm not. Where'd all the training dummies go? It's kind of annoying. That's what I came out here for. Weird. They get moved somewhere? All right, I guess we're going back then. Orgrimmar entrance roof by the south. Okay. Gotcha. Nothing over here either. Alright, I guess we'll just go fight stuff. What is going on, man? Like, if you guys go look at my tanking videos, like that wall that I flew to initially, that's where they all were at. Yeah, they were over here. It's beta, stuff is missing. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just a weird thing to be missing. All right, we'll just go back and I guess we'll try stuff out about against regular enemies. It's not as fluid to do that, but we'll do it. I guess I could go find training dummies somewhere else, but I don't wanna. No, stuff is just not loading in. What the heck? The portals aren't here either. Which is weird, because the portals in Stormwind are there. I went to Stormwind on one of the characters. So I can't even get back, can I? Great. Okay. That is super annoying. So we have no training dummies. No training dummies. And no portals. So I can't even go back to where I was at. What the heck? Is there a zone nearby that is like relatively high level? I don't think so. Oldham is level 50. I guess I could go over there. Proof they hate the Horde. Lagging? I don't think it's lag, man. It won't let me, what does that say? Castle Nathria is not yet available on normal difficulty. Okay. What if I do heroic? Nope. Okay. It's not available on that either. Let's go. Mythic Raid. Nope. What's Khadgar doing here? Oh, let's try a reload. This is really derailing my stream. I hate when this stuff happens. No dice. Okay, well, there's a pretty easy fix to this. We'll just make a new demon hunter. Sure. Blah, 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 blah. And we're back. What a useful NPC. Yeah, just, hey, you know, it's not available on that difficulty. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Well, at least it's beta, so it's easy mode. Just get kicked out. Okay. Let me play. It's like, oh, you think this is easy mode? You just queued for mythic difficulty rating, okay? Let's see. It might give me an error and say the character with this name already exists. Is it Felipe? Or Philip? Okay, let's try this again. So, we're not going to worry about training dummies. Since this guy has a fresh Hearthstone, we actually can just go check out another ability. So let's do that. We checked out the Maldraxxus one. I don't think the Venthyr one is going to work, but we can go there really quick and just confirm that it's not going to work. I want to make sure that they haven't like fixed it. Because it hasn't been working on anything so far. So we'll go there, and if it doesn't work, then we'll jump over and check out the Bastion one. Actually, if it doesn't work, I think I'm going to just fight some stuff in the Venthyr zone, because we haven't got to see it a lot in these streams that I've been doing, because every time I go over there, the ability doesn't work, and that makes me want to leave and go somewhere else and check out the Covenant abilities, because that's what's interesting, right? Okay, so along the way, let's check this out. So, it doesn't look like anything has really changed other than the fact that we need to work Immolation Aura into our rotation a little bit. And I think we're just going to do that. Either, you know, like one fight we use Immolation Aura and the other one we use I-Beam, and we just go back and forth because I-Beam's on a 30-second cooldown, Immolation Aura's on a 27-second cooldown. So we can just weave those between fights. You know, first pull we use I-Beam, second pull we use Immolation Aura. Or if it's a little bit of a lengthier fight, then we use Immolation Aura for its intended effect, which is to do some AoE damage, but also, more importantly, to generate some Fury. Right, so if we need Fury, we obviously can generate Fury through our Demon's Bite. But we also will have that additional resource of Immolation Aura. So that's what I'm thinking. All right, we got some level 57s here. So it looks like pretty much the standard deal. You know, if we're fighting like one target or two targets, you know, we're going to build up some Fury with our Demon's Bite. We're going to Blade Dance on multiple targets. If we're down to a single target, then we're going to use our Chaos Strike. And we're just going to kill stuff that way. Pick up our little soul fragments or whatever. In order to heal ourselves and just move on to the next group. And then if we're fighting a larger group, obviously at some point we're going to want to generate enough Fury to pop I-Beam and just melt stuff. And here we're basically capped on our Fury. So same thing, single target we're using Chaos Strike, multi-target we're using Blade Dance. And if we get ourselves into a situation where we do need to generate some Fury in a hurry, then we do have Immolation Aura. But it looks like just out like world questing, we're not really running into that issue. Which makes sense, you know, because Chaos was added in. It's not built in as like a core part of what we're doing. But I think this is also interesting because if you need to pump out additional DPS against a group like this, you do have Immolation Aura. So yeah, it looks like the standard stuff. We just have to work that in. I think that's the only new ability that we have, like by default. So we've got our Chaos Nova, you know, stun or whatever. Yeah, so right here we could like just burn off. We didn't even have to, but we could burn a whole bunch of fury right there by just like blade dancing or chaos striking repeatedly and then pump it back up with immolation aura. But yeah, everything here, this is in the demon tab. We've got chaos strike, and then over in Havoc, there's nothing new. So the next thing to do would be to jump in and check out the talents and see like what we're working with right now. Okay, so this is where I was getting mildly confused, but I figured it was probably a talent. So right now, I-Beam is generating 40 fury every second, and its duration is being increased by 50%. So with this talent in hand, we could swap back and forth like super easily between I-Beam and Chaos Strike as fury generators. But if we were to take this talent away, then after we I-Beam, that would be a good time to throw in our immolation aura, because it would kind of refuel us in terms of the fury that we spent, right? So we spend 30 on I-Beam and we generate 20 with immolation aura. Plus we're going to generate a little bit while immolation aura is going on because we're going to be casting Demon's Bite. So if we don't have this talent, we can like use immolation aura as sort of like a fury recovery ability after I-Beam. So maybe if you're in a tough fight and you need to I-Beam, then you use it, and then the next fight you just go ahead and use immolation aura and build it back up so you have the fury for the next I-Beam. I think that can keep you chaining from pack to pack pretty quickly. So let's see on this row, is there anything like this? Seems really good, right? 40 fury every second, like you just fill your bar with I-Beam, which is awesome, because then you can go straight into your Chaos Strike or Blade Dance. But we got a couple other options here. So are these interesting? Are they more competitive? Do we want to try them out? So Chaos Strike has a chance to spawn a lesser soul fragment. Consuming any soul fragment grants us 30 fury. So let's see. That's okay. I think I still just like Blind Fury better. I mean, you I-Beam often enough that this is pretty solid. And usually when you I-Beam, you're either finishing up a big pack of enemies or you're like panicking. Like, there's too much stuff. I-Beam, please, for the power. And I feel like I-Beaming and just getting that guaranteed fury is great. Whereas like Chaos Striking, I don't know, like that, it feels a little more single target to me. You've got to be nearby to pick up the soul fragment to get the fury. It's a chance to spawn. I don't know. And then Fell Blade. So this gives us another ability that charges to the target and deals fire damage. And Demon's Bite has a chance to reset the cooldown. Now, like, most of the stuff is not new. I'm just kind of reviewing it again in the context of the changes. So this is a 14-second cooldown. You are going to Demon's Bite quite a bit to spam, and this does give you a chunk of fury, so this might potentially be an option, but I feel like the Demon Hunter rotation with just these abilities already feels pretty good. Like, I don't often find myself in a position where I want to hit more buttons, because these just, like, cycle through pretty quickly. So, like, if I were to go over here, and I already have, you know, immolation aura as something to fill. But, like, my question is, where in here am I wanting to hit another ability? And the answer is basically nowhere. Right? Like, it already feels pretty good. What do you guys think? I'm Brazilian, so it'd be like a Portuguese for Philip. You still morph when using I-Beam. I believe that's a talent. Let's see. Yeah, demonic. I-Beam causes you to enter demon form for 6 seconds after it finishes dealing damage. So yeah, that's a talent. Freaking RNG. Yeah, I mean, with the demonic appetite, that is kind of RNG. The extra 50% length on I-beam is really where it shines. Beam hits so hard, having it 50% longer is really good. Agreed. And I think these other talents kind of lose out in that regard. That's my favorite thing about Demon Hunter lesson. Less buttons, but awesome rotation. Yeah, and everything looks cool. I personally use Demon's Appetite for open world to get a ton of self-heals. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I've never had to use it though. On a personal level. Like, there've been times when I've been like, oh man, I might die on my Demon Hunter when I'm playing, you know, Havoc or something, and it feels really close, but having that like I-beam blast and stuff, like I feel like I just shred through enemies. That if I push the damage, it's weird. Instead of healing myself or throwing up defensive abilities, I always feel like on Havoc, I am pushing buttons to just be like, I'm just gonna kill you before you can kill me. Like, I'm in this hairy situation, and my solution as Havoc is the best defense is a kick butt offense, and that's what I do. I think for that, you would have to see on bigger mobs or stronger ones, because you hardly don't cycle through more than a time on those. That is true, but I'm also thinking in the context of not just what I'm doing on this character right now, but what I've done in the past as well on my Demon Hunter. So maybe, but I feel like throwing Immolation Aura in there is like that extra button. And there are extra buttons in the talents that I'd rather have instead of Fell Blade, like Fell Barrage, which we'll get to. So Insatiable Hunger, Demon's Bite deals 20% more damage and generates 5 to 10 additional fury. So that's a good point to bring up. So right now we're generating a good chunk of fury through Demon's Bite, which if we don't have this talent, we don't have it. And then maybe at that point, we do have a gap in our rotation where Fell Blade might make some sense. So we have Burning Hatred. Immolation Aura generates an additional 60 fury over 12 seconds. That's interesting. It seems possibly like it's a little bit over the top. And then we have Demon Blades. This replaces Demon's Bite. Your auto attacks have a 60% chance to deal additional shadow damage and generate fury. I think those are probably worth looking at. Okay. So, yeah, we might look at this talent row for sure. Next, we have Trail of Ruin. The final slash of Blade Dance inflicts an additional 670 chaos damage over 4 seconds. We have Unbound Chaos. Activating Immolation Aura will cause your inner demon to slam into nearby enemies at the end of your next Fell Rush, dealing a buttload of chaos damage. Okay. Nice. And then we have Fell Barrage, which I personally love. Unleash a torrent of fell energy over 3 seconds, inflicting a buttload of chaos damage to 5 enemies within 8 yards. Okay, this is definitely an interesting row. We're going to have to check this one out too. Soul Rending. Leech is increased by 5%, and you gain an additional 25% leech while Metamorphosis is active, which is really nice in combo with Demonic. Desperate Instincts. Blur now reduces damage taken by an additional 10%. Additionally, you automatically trigger Blur when you fall below 35% health. This effect can only occur when Blur is not on cooldown. And then Nether Walk. Slip into the Nether, increasing movement speed by 100% and becoming immune to damage but unable to attack for 5 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Wow. I don't think I would ever take this unless I needed to, like, cheat death in a raid mechanic. It's such a long cooldown. I mean, immune to damage, that's real strong. for 5 seconds and increased movement speed, that's always nice. But, man, 3-minute cooldown. As opposed to these where you just kind of get them all the time. I personally think I just like soul rending. I like having the leech just constantly to help me with survivability. So I don't know that either one of these I would bother with too much. Then we have Cycle of Hatred. When Chaos Strike refunds Fury, it also reduces the cooldown of I-Beam by 3 seconds. Seems okay. I thought I would make it clear here that, like, for me, because my intention is to do the open world questing guides right off the bat. That's where the majority of my consideration here is setting up a build that's good for questing and leveling. And then, like, when I do more advanced guides, then I'll focus on, you know, like dungeons and raiding and all that kind of good stuff. So take the comments that I have here with take them in that context, you know, of that's what I'm looking at. It's like, what's going to be good for just running around, world questing or leveling your character, you know, from 50 to 60 or whatever. That's why I say this is okay, because honestly, when you're leveling, you're not chaos striking as much as you're blade dancing, right? Because you're usually going to pull a couple of things at a time. You do definitely chaos strike. You do, but you blade dance more than you chaos strike, I think. First Blood reduces the fury cost of blade dance by 20 and increases its damage to 1500 against the first target struck. That's usually what I pick. And like I said, you know, you blade dance a lot when you're leveling. So right here, Chaos Strike. So we're doing 880 chaos damage. Has a 40% chance to refund 20 fury. So if we have Cycle of Hatred, there's a 40% chance as well to reduce the cooldown of I-Beam by 3 seconds. Which I don't know is necessary in that context, because we can swap back and forth between I-Beam and Immolation Aura pretty much every fight. So, I mean, I-Beam is great, but is it take that talent great? I don't know. I don't think so. And with this, our Blade Dance right now is doing 673 to 5 nearby enemies. And with First Blood, we bump that up to like 2100 against the first target, which is almost triple the amount of damage that Chaos Strike does to a single target. And then finally we have Essence Break. So this is another like an additional button we could push. Instant 20-second cooldown. Slash all enemies in front of you for chaos damage and increase the damage of your Chaos Strike and Blade Dance. Increase the damage that they deal by 40% for 8 seconds. So we hit for 763, which is somewhere between the normal damage for a Blade Dance or a Chaos Strike. And then 40% increased damage. So we're going to boost our Blade Dance up to about 900. And then we also boost our Chaos Strike up to about 1200. And that's a 20-second cooldown. I still think I'd probably take First Blood, but I kind of want to try Essence Break and see what that feels like. Let's see. There's just more soul shards around because I hate dying. You just gotta hit harder. I think this would be useful for gap closing and moving through different mobs quickly. Are we talking about the Unbound Chaos at that time? Probably. You guys make sure if you don't mind, like, tag or add what you're referencing, because I'm checking chat kind of in between tiers here. That way I don't get too lost. Either of the first two talents are perfect. Yes. I would go Demon Blade. I love Fel Barrage. Fel Barrage is amazing. I'm a huge fan of Fel Barrage, but I do want to... This Unbound Chaos sounds rowdy, and I like rowdy, so I kind of want to try that. It's a little more complicated than Fel Barrage, I guess, in the sense that you have to, like, Immolation Aura, and I imagine it's going to give you a buff, and you have to, like, use it within a certain amount of time. That's why I want to try it out and see. Let's see. You have Passive Fury plus Immolation Aura plus I-Beam. Yeah, you have a ton of generation. Aaron says, just found your channel. Just want to say thank you for your guides. Totally helped me understand my Death Knight. Heck yeah. It looks like based on playing Death Knight in the beta that if you get a good handle on it now, you'll have a good handle on it in the beta too. Not many changes on talents. That is very true. When will you be doing a mage deep dive? I'm not sure. I'm going to be doing deep dives as much as possible. Probably 2 classes per deep dive. Probably. Depends on how long it takes to do them. KV says, love your guides, brother. Keep them coming. Hope you are well. I am doing well. Thank you. It was Fellblade about the last message. Okay, gotcha. Oh, that's true. Yeah. We'll give it a shot. I think we'll give it a shot. There's a couple of... I'm going to want to change talents probably twice and check out a couple of things in some of these rows. Okay, so 45 and 50. We've got Unleash Power. This removes the Fury cost of Chaos Nova and reduces its cooldown by 33%. Did they really... The CC is way up here? Master of the Glaive. Glaive Throw has 2 charges, or Throw Glaive has 2 charges and snares all enemies hit by 50% for 6 seconds. And then Fell Eruption, 30-second cooldown here, impales the target for 419 chaos damage and stuns them for 4 seconds. Okay, that's nice. Let's see here. I want to pull up the talent calculator. The current one. Okay, yeah, definitely not a lot of changes at all. So Unbound Chaos is new. Let's see. Burning Hatred is new, but that's because you used to have to pick Immolation Aura as a talent. And yeah, pretty much everything else is about the same. Okay, and then we have Demonic. And we have Momentum. Fell Rush increases your damage done by 15% for 6 seconds. Vengeful Retreat's cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds and generates 80 Fury over 10 seconds if it damages at least 1 enemy. And then we have our Nemesis. Increase the damage you inflict against a target by 20% for 1 minute. You know, this in combination with the Night Fae ability might be interesting since they both last for 1 minute. You could just like double down on this increased damage and stuff. That could be interesting. When the target's slain, you will inflict 20% additional damage against all creature types matching the original target. Okay, so we're going to change talents, and what I want to check out, we're going to grab Fellblade. I kind of want to see... I want to see Burning Hatred and Unbound Chaos. And if we're going to pick those up, I feel like I want to pick up Momentum, since Unbound Chaos is tied to Fell Rush as well. That might be a cool little combo with Momentum. I don't care about these. I want to try Essence Break. So this is... It's not new, but it's a little different than what it is currently live. And I think that's probably it. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's pick up Fellblade, Burning Hatred, Unbound Chaos, Essence Break, and Momentum. And we're just going to mess around with these, try them out. Okay, so first thing is let's check out Fellblade. So 14-second cooldown, charge to your target and deal some fire damage. And Demon's Bite has a chance to reset the cooldown. So we're going to go over here. It's not a super long range. So the cooldown is fairly long if we don't get a reset. I'm like waiting for a reset here. We've got some lag going on, so. There we go. We got a reset. Oh, we got another reset. That's kind of fun. I like flashy buttons on my action bar. I'm not gonna lie. I'm that player. Like, show me the flashy thing. That's what I want. That's not bad when it crits, honestly. Yeah, I mean, the range on it is 15 yards, which isn't crazy. It's okay. I don't know. It's definitely not necessary. Okay, so Burning Hatred. So, okay, we got a combo here. When we use Immolation Aura, we're going to generate a buttload of Fury, but also activating Immolation Aura will cause cause an inner demon to slam into nearby enemies at the end of our next Fell Rush. So we want to try and do that. And then also we have Momentum where our damage is going to be increased as well. So let's run over here, and I'm just going to activate Immolation Aura ahead of time. And then we're going to... Oh, that was not as cool looking as I had hoped. That definitely did not look as cool as I hoped that it would. Okay, so what I wanted to see here is... Okay, so it's not a timed buff. That's actually a little bit better. For sure. Why? It looked like it did a good chunk of damage, though. But why does it follow me? Like, I really expected you would charge and it would, like, shove the demon out in front of you. You know, like, that would look cool. This looks kind of stupid. It's like, I charge in, and then all of a sudden my inner demon is like, oh yeah, by the way, let me catch up. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. I mean, let me back up. It just looks so silly. Gonna get you. Did that even work? I think there was some lag. There we go. Ugh. Yeah, that's kind of corny. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good look at Havoc. Like, not a whole lot has changed. If you like Havoc right now, it's basically the same. Which means I probably wouldn't change too much in my guide either. Let's see if we can Hearthback. So we definitely don't have the Venthyr ability available, and I think that's going to be the case on all of the classes, so we can just skip it and ignore it. Let's check out another of the Covenant abilities, and we'll switch over to Vengeance along the way and start taking a look at that. Interesting. All right, so we're going to go over to Bastion and check out what they've got going on with that Demon Hunter ability. That's the one that gives us the sigil. And we'll check out what's new with Vengeance, and then I'll just cover the run through the Wowhead change log just to make sure we didn't miss anything too important. Okay, so jumping in, we know what we have in general for the Demon Hunter, and we've got Demon Spikes, got Fell Devastation. Okay, got it. I was like, wait a second. So Fell Devastation is now baseline. Okay. So unleash the Fell within you, damaging enemies directly in front of you for 1800 fire damage over 2 seconds. Causing damage also heals you for up to 4900 health. I'm sitting at 36. Okay. We've got some new talents as well to take a look at. That looks to be like the bulk of it. Okay, so let's check out this zone ability or covenant ability. We're gonna have to run way over to something to use it on. Okay, so we have Fell Devastation baseline. We still got Fiery Brand, Infernal Strike. We've got our sigils, Soul Cleave. Yeah, we got the usual stuff. And we also have Shear. Interesting. They put Shear in the Demon Hunter category, even though, I mean, it's basically the same thing as Demon's Bite. But it's just weird that they're up in the, you know, Demon Hunter category and not in the Vengeance category. All right, we're going to find some stuff to attack. I want to go somewhere where we can use this on several different enemies. So it's going to take us a minute to get over there. Let's take a look at the new talents that we have. So we have 3 new talents. We have Demonic. Okay. So we have Demonic on Vengeance now. It says Fell Devastation causes you to enter demon form for 8 seconds after it finishes dealing damage. So Fell Devastation is kind of like our version of I-Beam, I'm guessing. And then we have Bulk Extraction. Where's that one at? There it is. Demolish the spirit of all those around you, dealing fire damage to nearby enemies and extracting up to 5 lesser soul fragments, drawing them to you for immediate consumption. And then the last one is Ruinous Bulwark. Fell Devastation heals for an additional 15%, and 50% of its overhealing is converted into an Absorb Shield for 10 seconds. Okay, so it looks like Fell Devastation is like, it's the thing now. It's our I-Beam, right? That's basically what it looks like. Oh, we got the Sigil of Flame on ourself thing going on. Okay. All right, so we're gonna shear. Make some stuff. We can use our Soul Cleave to gather in all that. We should generate Fury a lot faster than this, assuming that we're taking more damage. Alright, so let's go over here. If we use Immolation Aura, that should let us Fell Devastation. yeah, it's it's basically I-beam, right? Well, it doesn't look like the rotation has changed too much. We're just like, now we can kind of build up for this fell devastation. It's got a pretty long cooldown. Like, I know it's a 15-second difference, but it definitely feels longer than I-beam. And it is longer than I-beam, but okay, so talents-wise, we've got our Infernal Strike Sigil Flame, which is cool. We've got Agonizing Flames. Immolation Aura increases your movement speed by 20%, and duration is increased by 50%. So right now it's 6 seconds. That would jump it up to 9 seconds. And we have Fellblade again. I feel like Fellblade actually might be useful on the Demon Hunter. Or on the Vengeance Demon Hunter. Yeah. But we also, I don't know, we might not use it if we're taking more damage. I guess that's a good question. I know they changed this to Fury, but does it still generate the same way? Do we have to build up Fury? I don't know. That's a good question. I guess the easiest way to tell is just go get hit by stuff. Okay. So we aren't generating anything. So we have to generate it ourselves. Weird. In that case, I don't know. Like, I feel like my generation's pretty low. Like, Sheer is generating 10 Fury. Sigil Flame doesn't generate anything. We have Immolation Aura, which is on a 14-second cooldown, so we can use it fairly often, but that's still 20 Fury. Demon Spikes isn't giving us anything. Fiery Brand's not giving us anything. So, yeah, so we need Fury. Basically, we only need Fury for Fell Devastation, right? So it's not like we desperately need Fury. But I mean, if we want to use Fell Generation fairly often, I don't know. Like, does it matter? Do we care? Alright, so this gives us armor, agility, attack power, or whatever. This is our soul fragments. Got stamina and armor. Tattoos. And Chaos Brand. Soul Cleave is still healing. Demon Spikes. Okay, we're getting our armor repair chance. Okay, so currently, the only thing we're spending Fury on is Fell Devastation. And with a 45-second cooldown, I don't even know if generating Fury is that important. I mean, I'm only generating 10 here, right? Every time I do this. I can Immolation Aura because that's on a 15-second cooldown. And like I'm getting enough. And then I fell Devastation. But now I've got to wait 45 seconds anyway. And I could definitely generate enough Fury for that in the meantime. David, what's going on, man? Awesome to see your viewership growing. Thanks, dude. It's been crazy. I got into the beta. And I'm going to be on a podcast here pretty soon, which is exciting. More sigils is what Demon Hunter needs. Yeah, I came out here to check out the ability, but... Demon Hunter tank mouth beam. It's the halitosis beam. It's a problem. Looks like Fury generation is really slow. Yeah, it does look really slow, but that's what I'm trying to figure out is, does it matter if it's slow? Because right now, all that you can do with Fury is use Fell Devastation. And with a 45-second cooldown on it, I mean, it's still kind of slow here, but if I had hit Immolation R right away, I should have been able to do Fell Devastation pretty quickly. I don't know, that still felt like it took a while. And Cass, you said it seems like a bug, but I don't think it is a bug. Unless they intend for, like, because Fury, like, you generate it through your abilities, right? Pain, you generated through that, but also from taking damage. But now, Vengeance Demon Hunters use Fury. But at the same time, the only thing that we need, like, I mean, if you look at this, like, I'm in a whole nother fight, generating stuff and everything, and I still, like, Fell Devastation is so far away from being available. If you're plowing through enemies and stuff like this, it's like, okay, I use Fell Devastation. Let me build up again. It does seem slow, though. Okay. We're going to kill this guy. So what I want to do is... So this is going to deal damage after 2 seconds. And then it'll detonate. Okay, and then we'll get soul fragments. What? What? Why are you saying it's out of range? What the heck? Oh, that's certainly a bug. Okay. I just compulsively loot, and I know I don't need to. That is a weird bug. Let's go try it on this down here. Place a Kyrian sigil at the target location. Yep, that's definitely a bug. I know I don't need to be casting Soul Cleave. This rotation doesn't feel good. This feels really dull. I mean, like, honestly, I'm literally just spamming sheer over and over and over again. I mean, if I hit 5 soul fragments, then I'm gonna Soul Cleave, right? If I want to. Might need the healing, but I mean, you drop your sigil, you hit your Immolation Aura, you spam sheer and spam sheer and spam sheer. Maybe you cast a Fell Devastation if it's actually off cooldown. Feels super boring. I mean, you've got your brand. You can also work in your demon spikes, but these are charge based on a recharge, so they're not using any resources, they're not generating any resources, so these are just other buttons that you're going to hit in the middle of that, and I don't know, that just feels super boring. They switched to Fury, but you don't need Fury for anything but one ability. Yes, I'm sure that we're going to look at the talents, and there's going to be a couple things that can use Fury. I mean, I hope. And that would make it more relevant. Demon Hunter tank rotation is why I switched back to Havoc. I don't know. I didn't mind it. And I think we're going to need talents to make up for it. Like, I'm already thinking about Spirit Bomb. Which is still in here. So Spirit Bomb will spice this up quite a bit. Unfortunately, it feels like Fracture is a required talent for Fury generation. Which one's Fracture? Oh, okay. Well, and that's why I was looking at Fellblade, right? I like Infernal Strike with the Sigil Flame. Like, that's kind of my go-to, because then you can just kind of skip that part of the rotation. But Fellblade, I mean, this generates 40 Fury. So you cast this one time, and then you can go straight into Fury of Devastation. Well, almost. I guess you... Man, it's 50 Fury on top of that. So you can't even just Fellblade and then go right into it. But I was thinking if you could start the Fellblade cooldown, or Fell Devastation cooldown right at the start of combat, then maybe you'll have it up for the one after the next one, or the next one. Like, it feels bad with Fell Devastation being baked in as, like, the one way to spend Fury, and you not being able to use it on almost every fight. Ronnie says, I was wondering what was up with the levels when I watched the beginning of your first Shadowlands stream. Just read up on it a bit, and I think I want to start playing again when this comes out. Yeah, the new player experience is awesome. I think you'll really like it, and you get to 1 to 10 in about an hour. And then after that, you actually just play through a single expansion. And you can jump from level, like at level 10, by default, if you haven't level the character to max, you go straight into playing Battle for Azeroth. So straight into the new content with the pretty graphics and all that kind of good stuff. And you can go back on a different character and pick a different expansion to play through on that character. And the idea is you do the starter experience 1 to 10. You play through one of the old expansions to get to 50. And then from 50 to 60, you play Shadowlands. And then if you go to a different character, it's 1 to 10 in the starter zone. Pick an expansion. 50 to 60 is Shadowlands. They've drastically reduced the time to level as well. It's supposed to be about 10 to 20 hours on average. So, yeah, should be good. Would you say it's worth me leveling a character to 120 now so I can be considered an experienced player beforehand? I thought we had a max character for you. I know we at least had like a 110 because you got the boost. Okay, so Feast of Souls. Soul Cleaves heals you for an additional 1,000 over 6 seconds. Immolation Aura's initial burst has a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments from enemies. I do like that one. Burning Alive. Every 2 seconds, Fiery Brand spreads to one nearby enemy. So honestly, like with these talents, I don't really... Nothing has really changed. So what I'm looking for here, we've got a couple new talents. But I'm looking for ways to spend Fury and ways to spend Soul Fragments to kind of spice up this rotation. So we're going to get that through Spirit Bomb, right? So this costs 30 Fury. So there we go. We can spend 30 Fury. And this will consume up to 5 Soul Fragments. So right now... Even on live, like, I don't find myself soul cleaving a whole lot because I just don't take that much damage, right? If you're tanking and you're geared out fairly well, if you are, like, world questing and stuff, you're probably not taking a whole lot of damage. Even in dungeons, you get a pretty good healer. You know, like, Spirit Bomb is, like, such a go-to. But this gives us another way to spin Fury. And this time it's 30, which I think it's still taking me a decent amount of time to build up. Like, let's say I start out with this, I throw out 1 Demon's Bite, and I go into Chaos Blade, and I, like, just hit 40. So I would cast... If I waited for 5 Soul Fragments, I'd be casting Spirit Bomb, like, right about now. So we'll take Spirit Bomb and see how it messes with the rotation. And let's see. So we do have Fracture. So this generates 25 Fury and has 2 charges compared to the 10 Fury that we're getting from Sheer. And I do think this is normally what I pick up when playing. So between Fracture and Spirit Bomb, we probably don't need like Fellblade with just picking up Fracture, because we can double Fracture. We're at 50. Double Fracture gets us to like a full Spirit Bomb pretty quickly. Concentrated Sigils. I actually kind of like being able to target my like place my sigils down somewhere. So I don't normally, I'd sometimes pick it up. Quicken Sigils, they activate faster and cooldowns are reduced. And then Sigil of Chains, which is pretty nice CC. This talent row is kind of whatever. Enemies struck by Soul Cleave deal 6% less damage to you for 12 seconds. We've got the new Demonic. So Fell Devastation causes you to enter demon form for 8 seconds after it finishes dealing damage. But you can only trigger this once every 45 seconds. I don't know how good that is. Especially when you have like Soul Barrier, which I find to be quite nice. We have Last Resort, which is the Metamorphosis thing. But we also have the 2 new talents here on the bottom row as well. So Ruinous Bulwark. Fell Devastation heals for an additional 15%. Is it healing? Okay, right. So it does damage and it also heals us. I just haven't taken any damage. And then demolish the spirit of those around you, dealing damage and extracting soul fragments. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to tweak our talents. And let's go ahead and pick up Fellblade, Spirit Bomb, Fracture, and Bulk Extraction. And let's check these out. These are ones that I think are kind of interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and just swap out Spirit Bomb with our Soul Cleave for Spirit Bomb and see if this feels a little bit better, right? So we're going to Glaive Throw in. We can put this down. We can do our Immolation Aura, right? We've got enough to Spirit Bomb. Want to get at least like 4 Soul Fragments, right? For a Spirit Bomb. Like 5 is nice. This already feels a lot better. But the problem that I have with this is, I don't know. To me, that makes Spirit Bomb feel mandatory. Right? If you want to do anything else with your Fury, you have to get Spirit Bomb. And if you want to generate Fury at any decent sort of pace, then you're probably going to pick up Fellblade or Fracture. And it's kind of weird because the incentive to generate Fury quickly is not really there, right? Like, so I don't even think you would pick up... I don't actually think you would pick up Fellblade, right? Yeah, even that doesn't generate enough for a Fell Devastation. I like Fell Devastation. I feel like it's a cool ability. Yeah, I don't know that you would pick up Fellblade. I mean, I personally really like Abyssal Strike, so I think I would still just keep that, because for me, I'm all about, you know, charging in and just jumping back here wherever, throwing down a... Huh. What? Is it a bug with this area? I wanted to check this out. Let's get out of this area and see if there's just some, like, line of sight bug over here. I think there are some, like, foxes or something up on the hill here we can attack. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to reload. Okay, let's see. Can we... Yeah. Okay, so we have bulk extraction. Let's get a couple more things here. Hey, you. And let's get that one faded away for whatever reason. There's another one. Come here. All right, so bulk extraction is going to deal not a lot of damage. That was not that was not impressive at all. I'm guessing you use that more so just for the heal. All right, let's try our Elysian Decree. Out of range, out of range, out of range. This thing is just bugged. You're facing the wrong way. Okay, yeah, that's super bugged at least. Huh. Okay, I switched away. So yeah, you've got to be doing this purely for the soul fragments, right? So heals us for 8% of all damage taken in the last 5 seconds. Minimum 1% of maximum health. Yeah, so we're just doing it. We're just doing it for the heal. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown. So Fell Devastation is healing us for 4,900, and with Ruinous Bulwark, it heals for an additional 15%. So we're getting like, what is that? Like 750 additional healing out of it. So close to 6,000 healing by picking up Ruinous Bulwark every 45 seconds. And then if we overheal, we get that overheal as a shield. Whereas with bulk extraction, if we get the 5 soul fragments, yeah, that's potentially like 15. No, these are lesser soul fragments. So we just, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's okay. I don't know. I'm not excited about all of that. Spirit Bomb still feels mandatory. It feels mandatory right now if you want to have fun anyway. And I almost feel like Fellblade or Fracture is probably mandatory. And I like Fracture a heck of a lot more. So, I don't know. That's a look at Vengeance. I think we have one more ability to check out. I need to report this one as bugged, though. Spell kept saying it was out of range and would not let me cast it at all. Which is unfortunate because I really wanted to try that out. Beta bug report time. Yep, exactly. So the bug report's in. We've got a minute left on the Hearthstone, so we are going to just port back. We'll pop over to Ardenweld real quick and check out that ability. And then we're going to switch gears and start on Druid. Four specs to go through on Druid, but I don't think anything too crazy changed with Druid. Let's double check. I'm going to double check the Wowhead post here for changes again. Make sure we didn't miss anything too crazy. So we got Fell Devastation, 3 new talents. Look at the talent tree. Ability changes. A lot of the ability changes have to do with the spell ranks. So something they did for the leveling process is like when you get a spell now, it doesn't do everything that it will do at its maximum rank. It does like a portion of it. And when you get a new rank, sometimes it ties new stuff in. For example, Demon Spikes at rank 1, I think just does the armor increase. But at rank 2, it does the additional parry chance. So that's an example of how they're adding in these spell ranks. And most of the ability changes are kind of tied around them splitting things out into ranks. And that's also part of the getting a reward at every level sort of thing, is they've done that as kind of a potential filler where it's like, oh, hey, at this level you get Demonic Spikes rank 2, and now it does this additional thing, which is fine. All right, so we have had some different changes, but it looks like we covered most of the ones that are pretty relevant for Vengeance. And then on Havoc, I believe we did take a look at Essence Break as well, which was just a tweak to a prior ability. So yeah, we've covered everything, I think, for Demon Hunter, other than going to check out the one last ability we have, the one last Covenant ability. So we'll go do that, and then we'll go Druid. I feel like Demon Hunter is going to be pretty fun in Torghast. Just with all the mobility that they have and how fast they are and the double jump and stuff like that. I think it's going to be pretty fun to blaze through. I can't express how much fun I had in Torghast on a Paladin, which is a class that I've like never mained. I have tanked a lot as prot, and that's what I was playing as. It was a prot Paladin. But man, 90 seconds of Holy Wrath at the start of every floor, plus movement speed if I'm next to a wall, plus having Hammer of Wrath have 5 charges and deal a buttload of damage, meant that I was literally just like staying close to the wall as soon as I entered a floor, and I was just running through, just like chucking hammers at everything. And man, it was disgusting. It was so fun. Like that particular build that I ended up with just made my week, man. So fun. I like want to do it again. And that's the thing I like about Torghast, right? Is these ability powers that we pick up and stuff. They're totally random, so you can land in a really good build, or like my last Torghast run was not like amazing. It was kind of boring compared to the other ones. But that was just a roll of the dice that time, right? And it's all about going in and being like, oh, can I get this sick combo, or can I try this new one, or discovering something else that, you know, you haven't tried before. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And I think Demon Hunter is going to be fun too. All right, so we're going to glide our way over here. Okay, so this is the one where we charge to an enemy, inflicting a bunch of nature damage and rooting them. This marks them for 1 minute and increases your fury from shears against them by 50%. So that does change based on your specialization. I think this is... yeah, this is where we want to go for some level 60s. So we got a level 60 right here. They have 9,000 health. So this actually is going to hit pretty hard. Oh, nice. That's a 40-yard range. That's pretty good. And we can reactivate it to teleport behind them. So if we, like, run away... oh, okay, so we can do it once every 30 seconds. Got it. Okay. This has got a 3-minute cooldown. Woo! And we're done. That's it. That's Demon Hunter. I'm not waiting around for another 3-minute cooldown. That's ridiculous. Okay, so out of all the abilities that we got to try, which one did I like the most? Well, considering one of them has a 3-minute cooldown, which doesn't appeal to me at all, and the other one we couldn't actually use, and then one of them doesn't even show up at all, that leaves one ability that we actually got to try that has a relatively low cooldown. And that is the random weird Maldraxxus Demon Duel Challenge one, which I don't know if I love either. So, Covenant abilities, can't make a determination. Didn't get to try half of them. I would say that I would probably take the Demonic Duel one over this one. Just because it's usable more often. And I do like the shield. I think the shield's pretty good. And out of the 2 specs there, I don't know. Havoc was feeling pretty good. Pretty same. But pretty good. And Vengeance... I don't know. I don't think I'm thrilled about the changes that are being made there. So will I still play a Demon Hunter? Yes. Is it a contender for a main character? I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a good, just like goof off, you know, World Quest character for me. All right, so we're shifting over to Druid. You guys don't forget to like the video if you are liking the deep dive into the classes. And just as a way to be like, hey, do these on other classes too. All right, so we're on Druid. We're kind of cycling around. This is a class that I've looked at before, but haven't done a deep dive into. So we've got a couple of different abilities. We have Kindred Spirits, which I can't really test out, but we can look at what it does by changing our specialization. And this will give us a good idea of how the ability plays out. And we'll do that. We'll take a look at that every time we change specs. Then we have the Night Fae ability, which is nuts. Okay. This one is Convoke the Spirits. So it's a 2-minute cooldown. So a little bit long, but it says call upon the Night Fae for an eruption of energy, channeling a rapid flurry of 16 Druid spells and abilities over 4 seconds. You will cast Wild Growth, Swift Mend, Moonfire, Wrath, Regrowth, Rejuvenation, Rake, and Thrash on appropriate nearby targets, favoring your current shapeshift form. And I've used that ability, and it's crazy. I didn't mean to go bear. I wanted to go cat. All right, and then our Venthyr one is Ravenous Frenzy. 3-minute cooldown. For 20 seconds, Druid spells you cast increase your damage, healing, and haste by 2% stacking, with apparently no limit. If you spend 1.5 seconds idle, the frenzy overcomes you, consuming 3% of your health per stack, stunning you for 1 second, and ending. So I believe the way this works, and we won't be able to test it because the Venthyr abilities aren't available, is if you can not be idle for those whole 20 seconds, then you're just good. But if during those 20 seconds you go idle for 1.5 seconds, then you are gonna get to this like debuff here where a bunch of your health is going to disappear. And if we think in regards to like the global cooldown and stuff like that, I imagine you can get somewhere between like 7 to 10 stacks as you're playing. Maybe more because your haste is going to be increased, which is going to decrease the global cooldown. So maybe you could get closer to like 13, like 7 to 13 abilities depending. Which would be a... if you get 7, that's 14% haste, damage, and healing. That's pretty significant. Yeah. That's pretty significant. So I think this is definitely an ability that you're going to want to like, you're going to hit it and you're going to have a rotation that you do to like maximize the potential of it. And to make sure that you can use it for the whole 20 seconds and not spend that time idle while the buff is up. And then our Necrolord ability is Adaptive Swarm. It says command a swarm that heals or deals shadow damage over 12 seconds to a target and increases the effectiveness of your periodic effects on them by 20%. Which you are going to have periodic effects in every single specialization. So if you're in Bear, you're going to have Thrash up If you're feral, you're going to have bleeds. If you are resto, you're going to have your heal over time stuff going. And if you're balanced, you're going to have your moonfire, sunfire stuff going on. So no matter what specialization you play, you're going to have some sort of periodic effect going on. And I'm assuming, like, if you're playing feral, then you're going to be dealing that additional shadow damage. It doesn't say what determines whether it heals or deals shadow damage, but I'm assuming, based on the fact that these are in the same sentence, that if you have damaging effects up, the damage is going to be done. If you have heals up, then the heal is going to be done. And it says, on expiration, it jumps to a target within 25 yards, alternating between a friend and foe up to 3 times. So I think there the expiration will count if your target dies. I'm assuming that that will count as an expiration. So if you are on feral and you're plowing through stuff, plowing through content, you can use your adaptive swarm, get that extra shadow damage going on the target, and when you kill one, that'll transfer over to another target. We're going to try it that way. I think this is going to be one that we're going to want to try probably on feral. Maybe balance too would be a good one to try it on. It's an interesting ability for sure. And with a 25-second cooldown and it jumping 3 times and lasting 12 seconds per target, it seems like something that's going to go for the entire duration of a fight. And you're going to be able to have it up, like, near constantly. Alright, so with that in mind, let's go over and check out the Kyrian one. Now, currently, I am resto, but we're going to switch over. We're going to check out feral first. And we're going to take a look at what this ability does if you are a damager. That's a weird way to put it. Okay, so you form a bond with an ally. Every 1 minute, you may empower the bond for 10 seconds, granting you an effect based on your partner's role and granting them an effect based on your role. Now, it doesn't say... It says it has a 40-yard range, but I don't know if that's the cast or you guys have to stay within 40 yards of each other or, you know, whatever the deal is. But if you are a damage-dealing specialization, then you energize your bonded partner, granting them 30% of your damage as additional damage, healing, or absorption. And same thing, if you are bonded with a damage-dealing ally, then that's the buff you're going to get as well. So this will change if you're a tank or a healer, as we'll see when we change specs. So we're not going to test out the Kyrian ability just because, you know, I'm out here solo on my own. We also can't test the Venthyr one, so we're going to test the Night Fae, and we're going to test the Necrolord. I want to try the Necrolord on feral, so we're going to go there first. Now, like I said, I'm doing Demon Hunter because it was requested by Cass yesterday, and I was so tired I just didn't get to it. And then Druid seemed like the pair that made sense so that I could get 6 specializations, which is what I'll be covering in most of these videos going forward. But that being said, I don't have classes selected for the next deep dive yet. So if there's something you're wanting to see in particular, you guys can let me know in the chat. And maybe if we get multiple votes for the same thing, those will be the next ones that I do. And I'm planning, unless something goes wrong or I'm super tired or whatever, to come back for another deep dive tomorrow evening. I know there are some classes I want to deep dive into as well, so I may just pair it up with like a community vote and one that I really want to dive into, or if the community vote kind of lines up with that, then we'll do that. Okay, so we're going to use this adaptive swarm, and the idea here is that I want to see if we can keep this up like all the time. like between having it jump from one enemy to another and then recasting it when the cooldown's up. I want to see if we can keep it up pretty often. I actually think this... I don't know. I tend to gravitate towards abilities that are like frequently repeatable and can affect my normal rotation and spice it up a little bit, as opposed to abilities that have big long cooldowns. That's just my preference, and I think this one has a lot of potential. I like the fact that it's dishing out additional damage. That's always nice. So let's see. We have... Okay, so we have Rake. That puts a bleed on the target, right? It's dealing 201 damage. So let's go ahead and recast that, and let's cast Swarm. So it didn't update the tooltip, but this has... Okay, it's gonna... Oh, it jumped over to me. Now, it's got 6 seconds left. 4, 3, 2... If I can hit him, will it jump to him? Yeah, okay, we got lag. So we're waiting to see. It did jump over to him. Okay, that's pretty cool. Did it do anything when I had it? I don't know that it did. Okay, so let's try it again. Okay, so I've got the instant cast regrowth in cat form, and I can adaptive swarm on myself, which will increase it. But if I cast it on myself, that means that I've got to wait for the full duration to go off before it jumps to an enemy. Okay, now it's on him. And then it jumps back over to me. Okay. So let's get a couple of enemies. Right? We got lag again. I may die because of this lag. Alright, let's grab him. Let's grab him. Let's cast Adaptive Swarm. Oh, so much lag. Come on. Okay. The lag is so bad. Okay, got it. Got it. So the lag is... Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so no matter what, because you exist and you are there, if you pull multiple enemies and you cast the swarm on an enemy, it's going to do all of its stuff on that enemy, and when it expires, it's going to jump to you because it alternates between friend and foe. It's not randomly, it's foe, friend, foe, or friend, foe, friend, basically. So you can't, you're not really getting a chain from foe to foe, and then you if you're just left over. So what that says to me is that generally speaking, what you're going to do is you're going to, if you're feral, right, you're going to cast adaptive, you're going to like get your bleeds and stuff going. You're going to cast adaptive swarm. You're going to fight some enemies and stuff. When you're done fighting those enemies, at some point in there, you're probably getting like a clear cast proc. And you're going to want to cast your, your regrowth on yourself in cat form. And then when the swarm pops over to you, then you have increased healing from that benefit. And then once it's, run its course on you, it might hop back over to the enemy. That's cool. I like it. I like that ability quite a bit. Like I said, I gravitate towards stuff that I can use multiple times, and have up near constantly, and that kind of changes the flavor of my normal rotation, as compared to something like, a big, powerful, like 2-3 minute cooldown sort of ability. So I naturally would like something like this. And I like the effect. I think it makes you think about the timing of your abilities. You're going to get those bleeds and stuff up anyway, but then you hit that adaptive swarm, and then you're thinking, oh, okay, I need to heal myself, but can I hold out a couple seconds until swarm is on me? Then I can cast heal and get the additional healing benefit from that. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let's check out what is new with Feral, if there's anything super crazy. I'm going to pull up the Wowhead class changes guide. I'm going to link that into the chat as well, so you can check it out just in case you have any questions or want to go over any of the changes or see them live in action. I'm going to cover the ones that are like significant, like ability changes or talent additions and stuff like that. Okay. So baseline abilities, so we kind of went over this in a different stream, but now baseline, everybody has Ferocious Bite, Bark Skin, Cyclone, Stampeding Roar, and Iron Fur. So everybody has Bark Skin, and this is castable in our Shapeshift form, so that's good to go. We have Cyclone, which I think will pop us out of our Shapeshift form. Ferocious Bite, which we're going to have anyway as Feral, but now everyone has it, so everyone has access to a cat form finisher, which is nice. Iron Fur, which requires bear form, so if for whatever reason we switch to bear form as Feral, then we have Iron Fur to go off of. And then we have Stampeding Roar, which is like our party-wide movement speed buff. We have a new talent called Heart of the Wild that we'll take a look at as well. Now, let's see. Do we have any major changes to Feral? We have Blood Talons. And this says, when Feral Druids use Shred, Rake, and Ferocious Bite in quick succession, the damage of their next rip will increase dramatically. So here we go. Blood Talons. When you use Shred, Rake, and Thrash within 5 seconds, the damage of your next 2 rips or Ferocious Bites is increased by 30%. Okay. And then we have our Heart of the Wild affinity as well. So probably not a lot has changed here. It looks like we're probably still going to want to do the same stuff, right? So we go in stealth, right? And when we're stealth, we can open up with our Shred because we're going to deal 100% damage and have double the chance to critically strike. And then we want to Rake and get a bleed going on our target. When we have enough combo points, depending on how long we think our target is going to survive, then we want to Rip to get some more bleed on there. And then we're going to build up combo points again in order to cast Ferocious Bite as like our finisher. And that's like our baseline rotation. It doesn't look like that has really changed very much. And I don't think that the Heart of the Wild talent is going to change that at all. Let's see if we can log back in. It might give me an error here. If it does, we'll just jump on a different Druid. Cool. Okay. And then it immediately booted me. We will try a different Druid that's not in Maldraxxus. It might be a zone issue. All right, so let's make sure we're feral. We didn't do anything too crazy. Yeah, we didn't change our talents or anything like that, so. Okay, so along with that, if we get into like an AoE situation, we do have Swipe and we have Thrash. So with Thrash, we're putting bleeds on multiple targets, and with Swipe, we deal increased damage to bleeding targets as well. So core rotation looks pretty much the same. Our talents probably are about the same. So we have our affinities, right? These haven't changed from what they currently are, but now we have Heart of the Wild. So this has abilities. It's an instant 5-minute cooldown. It's kind of a ridiculous length of cooldown here, but it says abilities associated with your chosen affinity are substantially empowered for 45 seconds. Now with balance, this increases the damage of your balance abilities by 30%, and your Star Surge becomes instant. So currently we do have access to Star Surge, which is our big chunky like caster ability here. We have to switch into Moonkin for it. So basically what Heart of the Wild is doing is Heart of the Wild is allowing you to off-spec a little bit better than you normally would be able to if that's what you want to do. If you want to play a Druid where you have a main specialization that you're playing, but then you want to be able to like, off heal if like your healer goes down, or off tank if your tank goes down, like if you want to be able to take over. Say you're playing Feral and you're in a dungeon group and your tank dies for some reason, you want to be able to hit bear form and, not just kind of do all right, but you want to have this big pump spell to kind of like make those abilities, I would say like equivalent to that specialization for a short period of time. Then that's what Heart of the Wild does, right? So in this example, be quiet. In this example, it's like, for whatever reason, maybe melee DPS is not the thing that you need to do for this particular fight, and it would be advantageous for you to be able to do some range DPS. Well, you have the balance affinity, right? So you switch over to Moonkin form, and then you can pop Heart of the Wild and get 30% increased damage on your ranged attacks, which are going to be lower because you're not like spec'd gear-wise for that, as well as having that instant cast Star Surge, right? So if we switch over to Guardian, then for Guardian, we're going to pick up Frenzy Regeneration and Incapacitating Roar, as well as the Thick Hide passive, which is going to reduce our damage taken, right? Which that's okay. So now we can switch over to Bear form, and when we're in Bear form, we have Frenzied Regeneration, which is going to help us heal, and we have Incapacitating Roar for a little bit of CC. But if we pick up Heart of the Wild, now it says Bear form gives an additional 20% stamina, multiple uses of Iron Fur may overlap, and Frenzied Regeneration has 2 charges. So it's doing exactly what I was talking about there, right? So your tank goes down, you're going to take over for your tank. So you switch to Bear form and you hit Heart of the Wild. Now your Bear form is giving you extra stamina, your Iron Fur can overlap, your Frenzy Regeneration has 2 charges, you have a lot more survivability, you can kind of take over that tanking role. If we go over to Resto, then we get Rejuvenation, Swift Min, Wild Growth, Ursul's Vortex, and this heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 5 seconds. If you're at full health, an injured party or raid member is healed instead. When we hit Heart of the Wild, healing of your restoration spells is increased by 30%, and mana costs are reduced by 50%. So now you can pump out those spells without consuming all your mana, because you're naturally going to have a lower mana pool if you're not like balanced. And that's going to let you cast heals more often, but also those heals are going to heal harder. So I think Heart of the Wild is a super awesome ability, and even though I just talked about how I like picking up the abilities that are short and can affect my rotation and I can use them multiple times or kind of keep them up pretty consistently, I really like Heart of the Wild because the big reason I like playing Druid is being able to adapt to those situations where the tank dies or the healer dies, or I'm playing as a healer but we need to just push some extra DPS to kill this enemy because they're so close and we just want to like push it through, or something like that. So for me, Heart of the Wild is a really awesome talent because hopefully 5 minutes, like the intention here is not that you're becoming a tank, for the duration of a dungeon, right? It's like you have an oh crap button, and hopefully within 5 minutes, you're not running into a situation where you need to hit that oh crap button again and take over for someone's role. So I just think this opens up a lot of versatility and possibility to like adapt on the fly as a druid, and I really like the talent. And that being said, I'm not overly crazy about the other two talents on this tier anyway. So we have Mighty Bash, which gives us it gives us a 4-second stun that we can use, which is actually it's a pretty solid ability. Like I don't hate on this ability at all. And then we have Mass Entanglement, which I've really just never liked. It's a 30-second cooldown ability that roots the target and all enemies within 15 yards in place for 30 seconds. Damage may interrupt the effect. Usable in shapeshift forms. I've just never been a fan of entangling roots in general. Like, it's okay as far as PvE goes, but I would rather have this, like, super powerful off-spec Heart of the Wild ability, I think, over both of these. In group situations. Solo, I'm going to take Mighty Bash. If I'm just out there like world questing and stuff like that, I'm just going to pick up Mighty Bash because chances are that stun is going to be more useful repeatedly than Heart of the Wild. Lost Soul says, maybe the old man in me. I don't like this version of Heart of the Wild. The old version was the buff, right? Yeah, I think the old version was the buff. Murphy, what's up? Hey, how's it going? We're deep diving into the Druid now. We already covered Demon Hunter, so now we're jumping into Druid. And then we also have Blood Talents. So when you use Shred, Rake, and Thrash. So if we're in cat form, we've got our Rake, we've got our Shred, and we've got our Thrash. Within 5 seconds, the damage of your next 2 rips or ferocious bites is increased by 30%. Do we have to use all 3 of them, or is it just 2? Because chances are you are going to be going Shred, Rip, or no, that's Rake. Yeah, okay, Shred, Rake. Maybe not Thrash, right? You're probably going Shred, Rake, or Shred, Thrash. Shred, Rake, Shred, Thrash, depending on whether you're fighting one or multiple targets. Then the damage of your next 2 rips or ferocious bites is increased by 30%. That's actually pretty significant on the rip because that bleed damage increase is pretty huge. It affects every tick of the bleed. I'm pretty sure it's just when you use 2 of those abilities. Let's see. Wowhead has it written down as if you have to use all 3. I want to try it and see if we have to use all 3. So let's run out. We need to try the Night Fae ability. And we could also switch specs while we're out there. So let's go try the Night Fae ability. We'll check out Blood Talons and see if you have to cast all 3 or if just 2 work. And then we'll switch gears and probably take a look at Guardian Druid. I've already covered Guardian Druid, but it'll just kind of let me get through Guardian Druid pretty quickly. And catch up on chat here. Also says, I take it the buff was a strong one. The buff to what? Yeah, and Moment of Clarity is a really nice ability. So Blood Talons has got to be pretty good to be better than Moment of Clarity. So or Moment of Clarity. This causes Omen of Clarity to trigger 50% more often, accumulate up to 2 charges, and increase the damage of your next Shred, Thrash, or Swipe by 15%. But it also gives your maximum energy a 30 cap increase. All right, now I've actually seen this Convoke the Spirits ability already, and it's pretty crazy. But we'll go use it. And we're going to go cat form, so we take less fall damage, just on the off chance. Should mostly hit pools all the way down, though. Oh, this does give me a chance to see the aquatic form. I can't decide. I like the Coltiran forms the best. But I'm not crazy about the Coltiran normal form, this form. It's not awful, but I don't love it. And I do like the Zandalari, like, normal form pretty well. I'm a fan. And their forms are probably, like, second place for me. And I can't decide if I want to make my Druid a Coltiran or a Zandalari. Okay, so let's go ahead and go stealth. So we're going to pay attention and see if we can just shred, rip. Okay, and then thrash. Okay, so we do have to use all of them. So shred, rake, thrash. Then that's going to increase the damage of our next rip. And we can hit this, thrash. Oof. Let's use our Convoke the Spirits. That ability is so cool. I love it, but it's on a 2-minute cooldown. You saw how ridiculous that was, right? That was just a straight up oh crap button. I don't know. I feel like I was so focused on trying to hit these 3 and get the buff that I just like sacrificed playing my rotation correctly. All right, so we shred, we rake, we thrash, and then we rip, and we can shred, rake, thrash, rip. But we didn't need to do that, I guess, because we already had 2 stacks. So that's one of the ways I'm kind of screwing this up here. Taking a good amount of damage there. Okay, so let's try this again. Now, the key here is I didn't need to do that cycle twice, right? So I shred, rake, thrash, rip, and then I already have a rip up, so I can switch gears, build up some combo points, and then use that powerful rip again. And then I can potentially proc this again. Right, so I've got Blood Talons again. It lasts for 30 seconds, so you can actually get a good amount of use out of it. I want to keep raking here. Shred, rake, thrash, so we get some extra bleeds, and then we could go straight into rip, and then we can build up combo points through some shreds here, hopefully, and then we've got enough time to get that increased ferocious bite in. That's actually, it feels pretty good, right? Boom. Thrash. We've got 4 points. That's good enough for a rip on our World Quest target. If I would stop hitting Rake. Alright, we build up combo points. We still have, like, just plenty of time on Blood Talons for a full-scale Ferocious Bite. Yeah, that fits in pretty nicely. I like that, actually. I didn't know if I would, but I do. It's a good loop, right? Into rip, and we just shred. Build our way back up. By the time we get here, got enough for a chunky Ferocious Bite. Didn't crit, though, which is unfortunate. Okay, I like Blood Talons. Now, our Omen of Clarity, right here, it says your auto attacks have a chance to cause a clear casting state, making your next shred, thrash, or swipe cost no energy, which is not bad. It's a really nice ability to have. And with Omen of Clarity, it triggers 50% more often. You can carry up to 2 charges. So when you saw regrowth flashing, that was tied to something else. I don't remember which one it is, though. Is it tied to a talent? It might be. I don't remember. Anyway, it's not the Omen of Clarity. When you saw the shred and thrash and swipe, I believe, blink, that was Omen of Clarity. So without Moment of Clarity, I need to cast that like right away so I don't waste the effect, right? With Moment of Clarity, I can store up to 2 charges. So if I can't hit that right away, it's not the end of the world. And then also we have that maximum increased energy, which does definitely make a difference. And I don't know if, like with Blood Talons, I guess the question is, am I hitting a point where I feel energy starved? Right? So we go here, we thrash, we rip. Right? That was pretty decent. I didn't really feel like I needed the 30 energy there. Let's try it again. But I got some Omen of Clarity procs. Like right here, it's like, man, I was just sitting there for a couple of seconds not doing anything. Yeah, it's like after I get the combo going, right? So like here, thrash. And then right here, I was just kind of sitting there for a little bit. Right there, I'm just kind of like, yep, I want to build up these combo points. Come on. Yeah, I am kind of sitting on some moments there where I could have used a little bit of extra energy. So maybe that. But like I said, the rotation there doesn't feel bad, right? It feels pretty good. There's like a flow. Yeah, I like it. I like Blood Talons. Let's see. Nice. I need more Druid knowledge. Don't we all? Are the Wild buff, I think 10% stats. Yeah, it was something like that. Like 5 or 10% stats. The nice purple paw icon. Okay, so that is Feral. We're going to switch over to Guardian. Now, there's not a whole lot new going on in Guardian. I'm going to double check that Wowhead post that I linked. Just make sure. So we basically have 3 things here for Guardian that are different. So we have the Heart of the Wild, right? So this is available for Guardian as well. And we can pick up an affinity. And we'll take a look at what the Feral affinity does. Maybe on a different spec. We also have Renewal, which is a new talent right here. So this says instantly heals you for 30% of your maximum health and is usable in all shapeshift forms, which seems pretty useful. We have Tiger Dash on the same tier, which I was never like, it's fine. It's a decent ability, but I never really feel like picking it up too much. I think most of the time I picked up Wild Charge. This grants a movement ability that varies by shapeshift form. So if you're in bear form, you charge an enemy, immobilizing them for 4 seconds. You can do a couple of other different things here, but it's nice to have another movement ability. But you can give up the movement ability for a 30% heal on a 1.5 minute cooldown. Now, Tiger Dash has a 45-second cooldown, so you could Tiger Dash twice in the time that you could use one renewal. And then Wild Charge has a 15-second cooldown, so you can use the ability more frequently. It is kind of like a little bit of a shorter range, but if you want that like constant mobility, Wild Charge is good to pick up. But Renewal seems like a pretty solid alternative to those talents. If you're like, yeah, I'm good, I don't need the movement ability. Maybe, you know, like neither one of these is amazing for dungeon content. Like Tiger Dash can keep you moving through, but I mean, you have Cat Form too. That'll do the trick. And you still have your regular dash as well. But Renewal seems like it could be really useful in dungeons, in boss fights and stuff like that, or if you just have an oh crap moment. 30% of your maximum health healed instantly is a pretty big deal, and a 1.5 minute cooldown for that is not that long. So I think Renewal is actually an extremely viable talent in this row. I like the addition of it. It's pretty cool. It gives you another way to heal yourself besides Frenzied Regeneration, which heals you for 24% of your health over 3 seconds, and sometimes that feels like not quite fast enough. So those are the only real new things. We have Berserk, which got tweaked a little bit. So this is a 3-minute cooldown. It says go Berserk for 15 seconds, reducing the cooldowns of Mangle, Thrash, Growl, and Frenzy Regeneration by 75%, and reducing the cost of Iron Fur by 50%. So for 15 seconds, you can just slam out Mangle, Thrash, Growl, and Frenzy Regeneration a bunch. So what that's going to let you do is Mangle is your single target rage generator. So you can pump that damage out. You've got your Thrash, which is your AoE, hit everything, make it bleed ability. Then you have Growl, which is your taunt, so you can taunt a whole bunch. And Frenzy Regeneration, which is our little heal there. So Mangle has a 5.6 second cooldown. Thrash has the same. Frenzy Regeneration has a 33 second recharge time. The sound effects. Oh my goodness. And then our Growl, I think, is like an 8-second cooldown, I believe. Yeah, 8 seconds. So the biggest thing there is Frenzy Regeneration recharges. Frenzy Regeneration only costs 10 rage, and 75% reduction in the recharge brings us down to something like 9, 12 seconds, somewhere in there. So you can use this near constantly while you have Berserk up. Now, Berserk only lasts for 15 seconds, so you could probably get, if you have 2 charges when you start, I think you could probably get like 4 Frenzy Regenerations in during the time of Berserk, possibly 5. So like 3 to 5 if you want like massive healing in that time. So 3 to 5 charges of Frenzy Regeneration, that is 75 to like 100% of your health healed. So that's pretty significant. And then Iron Fur normally cost 40 rage, and this is going to reduce it down to 20, or not 20. Yeah, 20 rage. So you can have that buff up much more often. So this is going to increase your armor for 7 seconds, and it will overlap. So cutting that in half just means that basically in the normal time it would take you to have 1 Iron Fur, you could have 2 up. So this will double the amount of armor that you would normally have on your character during that time frame. So that's the other kind of tweak to Berserk. But all that said, like the rotation looks pretty much the same, right? You can use your Moonfire to pull something over. You can Thrash or whatever to get a bleed on there. Mangle, because that's going to do increased damage. And then after that, it just kind of comes down to whatever. You're either going to swipe If there are multiple targets, you can maul to spend your rage against a single target. When mangle comes back up, you're going to want to mangle again, but make sure that you have, you know, a bleed on there. So you do want to cast your thrash. You can have up to 3 stacks of thrash on anything. So a better way to look at this is let's grab a couple of enemies here. All right, so we pick a target. We can moonfire the target. We can thrash to get those down. Mangle. Now we got multiple targets, so we can swipe. Right, we can thrash again, get 2 stacks. Mangle, swipe. This is assuming we only want to kill things. Then we can frenzied regen to get some heals if we need them. Now, in here, if we're tanking, we're obviously casting our Iron Fur, spending rage on that instead. We can also multi-dot with our Moonfire as well if we want to. But if we go Berserk, this is going to drastically reduce that cooldown on Frenzied Regen. And now, that is going pretty quickly. Yeah, 8.4 second recharge time. Which means you could get like 3 Frenzied Regens off. If you had 2 stacks, you could consume 2 Frenzied Regen, hit Berserk, that cooldown's going to come around, you'll be able to hit it, and then about the time Berserk goes off, you'll be able to hit it again. So, pretty significant healing there. But yeah, the rotation for balance, or for Guardian Druid, is still pretty much the same. Right? Nothing's really changed. Like I said, if you're tanking, then generally you're going to make sure you have at least 1 Iron Fur up at all times, and then spend the rest of your rage appropriately. All right, so that's Guardian Druid, unless anyone has any like questions there, which I think were pretty good. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty similar to what it is right now. All right, so we're going to hearth back. We're going to take a look at what the Kyrian ability says when you are in a tank spec. And then we'll switch over to balance and check that out. And then we'll switch over to resto. Cool hyena mount. Okay, so for the Kyrian ability, if you are a tank, it says protect your bonded partner, redirecting 40% of damage they take to you unless you fall below 20%. So that's kind of a weird one if you're bonded with a tank. So when you empower this, you both redirect 40% of the damage that the other person takes to you, unless you fall before 20% health. That's actually kind of funny. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you're like paired with a DPS or a healer or something like that. But yeah, that's a little weird if you're paired up with a tank. You're messing up my internal clock. How am I messing up your internal clock? All right, so let's switch gears and take a look at balance. Now, balance has actually had a lot of changes. So this one is going to be kind of interesting to see. All right, so we'll go out. It seems like... Let's go over to... let's check and make sure. This should be the same for Kyrian as well. So for the Kyrian, yeah, this is Damager. Let's check out what the healing one is real quick, because I don't think we're going to be able to hearth back here between specs. All right, so for this one, if you're a healer, it says focus on your bonded partner, replicating 50% of all healing you deal onto them. So if you're healing them, does it heal them for an additional 50% of what you're healing? That's what I assume. But if you're healing someone else, they get 50% of that healing as well. Okay. And we probably want to equip a... Oh, well, we've had the caster one the whole time. Probably would have helped in both situations to have the correct weapon on. Oh, and that's what I forgot. I never told you guys the other day on the other stream. The whole time I was showcasing the Druid, I didn't have a weapon equipped at all. I had taken it off because it was getting in the way of looking at the transmog for the Covenants, and I never put it back on. And I went out and did like the Guardian Druid showcase and all that stuff with no weapon, which was kind of hilarious because of how like easy it was, even though I had no weapon. Me being on nights, I know I was on early shift for like forever. Okay, so Balanced Druid, a couple things have changed. So the big one is the empowerments and eclipses. So solar and lunar empowerments are being strengthened and updated into eclipses. Wrath and Starfire will grant each other alternating lunar and solar eclipses for a longer duration with special moments of celestial alignment allowing both to occur at once. So we're going to figure this out first. This is the biggest change, the weirdest change. Okay, so we have... Alright. Celestial Alignment is a button we can push, which maintains both eclipses and grants 15% critical strike chance for 20 seconds. So we have Mastery Total Eclipse. Solar Eclipse increases nature damage by 19%, and Lunar Eclipse increases arcane damage by 19%. And then Eclipse, casting 2 Starfires empowers Wrath for 13 seconds. Casting 2 Wraths empowers Starfire for 13 seconds. These eclipses occur in alternation. So when you have the Eclipse, the Solar Eclipse, Wrath cast time is reduced by 20% and damage is increased by 20%. When you have the Lunar Eclipse, Starfire cast time is reduced by 20% and area of effect damage is increased by 100%. So this is kind of a older school version of balance, similar to Wrath of the Lich King, I think. I've played this style of balance before. So basically, okay, we cast Wrath, right? And then we cast Wrath again, and now we're in a Lunar Eclipse, and so we want to cast Starfire and Starfire. Waiting on the lag here. All right, so now we're into a Solar Eclipse. Now, okay, something to note here with the eclipses, right? So it says that 2 Wraths put you into a Lunar Eclipse, 2 Starfires put you into a Solar Eclipse. The thing to pay attention to here is that doesn't happen while you're in an eclipse, right? So right now, if I do Wrath into Wrath, it's going to put me into a Lunar Eclipse. If I do Starfire into Starfire, it does not put me into a Solar Eclipse. It won't count until the eclipse is over, and then I Starfire twice. So there's once. There's twice. I go into Solar, and now I am casting Wrath. So the idea here is that depending on how you kick things off, you're going to get that particular eclipse, and then you're just going to spam the crap out of that element. So ideally what you're trying to do here is, if I'm fighting a single target, then this is kind of weird. It might seem kind of contrary, but I want to like Starfire and then Starfire, because then I go into a Solar Eclipse. Well, I should have gone into a Solar Eclipse. Ugh. Didn't trigger that time. Okay, so single target. Maybe. So Starfire. Alright, so now I'm in a solar eclipse against a single target, and I can just spam the crap out of Wrath, which is my single target ability, right? And that's got me in a solar eclipse. Multi-target, I can Wrath into Wrath, and now this puts me into a lunar eclipse, and I can just Starfire spam like crazy. And also along with that, I have like Starfall, Star Surge as well. Now you don't have to do that. You can just, you know, you can open by spamming like Wrath on a single target, and then just keep spamming Wrath if you want to. I got some lag there. Alright, so now I can Starfire. I can Star Surge. I can Starfall. Everything's dead. But you get the idea. Now, along with this, you're obviously still going to be casting your Moonfire and Sunfire as well, and getting those dots going on your targets. Oh, she's got mini bun. Tiny rabbit. Did you miss Vengeance? Yes, you did. Demon Hunter is done. We are on the 3rd Druid spec. But it'll be in the VOD. Great change. Couldn't get my head around BFA balance. I was not a fan of BFA balance at all. Not even a little bit. I haven't liked balance in a long time. So let's like example single target here. If we really wanted to, we Moonfire, Sunfire, Starfire, Starfire, and then we can spam the crap out of Wrath. Now, obviously, if the target's weak enough that we don't need to do that, then we just Moonfire, Sunfire, and then we just spam Wrath until it dies, right? Maybe we throw in a Star Surge if we want to. We've got the astral power here to use for that. Okay, so solar and lunar empowerments. We kind of covered how those work and, you know, ideally what you're going to do during those. Now, just to be clear, the eclipse specifically is for Wrath and Starfire, but we do have a couple of other things going on. So we have Star Surge. This extends the current eclipse to continue focusing power into either Wrath or Starfire. So let's say that we are going to do our Starfire and our Starfire. Now we have 10 seconds on our Eclipse here. If we Star Surge, that is going to bump our Eclipse up by 3 seconds every time. So we can effectively, we want to use Star Surge to extend the Eclipse if we want to stay in it. And in order to cast Star Surge, we need our Astral Power, which we are generating through Wrath, and we're generating through Starfire as well. And then we also generate a little bit with Moonfire and Sunfire too. So as we're generating this Astral Power, we're primarily spending it on Star Surge. We also can spend it on Starfall. So this says, Starfall has returned to its previous design. Instead of needing to telegraph the area, balanced druids call down a wave of stars which strike the surrounding ground where they stand, run, or flap for its duration. So, for example, if I hit Starfall, now you can see it's kind of like, there's the line. It's following where I am. This is going to be a great way to pull huge groups, actually. Run away! Run away! Door Shadows is kind of cool. Let's see. Starfall, pull everything. Oh, it's not even pulling that guy. It's just like hitting randomly. All right. Run away. So those are the major changes to what Balance has going on. It's primarily in that Eclipse system and the way that you're spending your resource, this astral power resource. Now, on top of that, we have, like we did for every single other specialization, we have Heart of the Wild in there too. And we're Feral Affinity right now, so that gives us Rake, Rip, Swipe, and Maim. Also increases our, also increases our movement speed by 15%. And with Heart of the Wild, it says damage of your feral abilities is increased by 30%, and critical strikes with attacks that generate a combo point generate an additional combo point. So once again, you can kind of see how this is really just designed to help you like off spec and be really good at it for 45 seconds every 5 minutes. So nothing too crazy there. So going through our abilities, we still have we have Celestial Alignment, which gives us both eclipses and grants critical strike chance for 20 seconds. So if we pop that, we have Eclipse, Lunar, and Solar for 20 seconds. And we have increased critical strike chance. So that's just a big, huge like damage boost spell. Super offensive cooldown we can use. Along with that, we have our Innervate, which allows us to cast spells without spending mana. In particular, this is a friendly healer. And then outside of that, we've still got Solar Beam, which is one of our like CC abilities. Sunfire, Moonfire. We still got Typhoon, which is another CC ability. And that's pretty much it. So the talents, it looks like for the most part, are the same. Adapted, you know, to the new Eclipse system, but the majority are basically just the same. So I think, what do I think? How do I feel about this change, this rotation? So typically I go in with the dots, right? I got a single target. I'm going to start wrathing. And then this is making me want to switch to Starfire. Do I want to do that typically? Like that's how the normal flow would go, right? So I wrath for 466. Starfire does 196 to all other enemies within 8 yards. Okay, it does 594. So that basically gets doubled. Okay. Oh, is this working like old Eclipses? Not quite, no. Okay. So I think single target. Right, so right now, we wrath twice. And now our Star Surge is doing 710 over 1.5 seconds, as opposed to 466 over 1.4 seconds. Yeah, single target, it probably is worth just doing that rotation. Boom. And you wrath twice. Oh, wrath twice. You wrath twice in a row for an Eclipse. What is going on? Is there like an internal cooldown? Yeah, something weird was happening there. I want to figure out what it was. Okay, here, wrath, wrath, Okay, into Starfire. We can spam that. We can hit our Star Surge to extend the duration if we want to. Which also puts out a big chunk of damage. Yeah, I hit that point a couple of times. I don't know if it's lag or what is going on. So if I Wrath and then Starfire, and then I go back and Wrath. Okay, it still puts me into the Eclipse. No, it didn't. Or, wait. Is that? Okay. Here. If I Wrath, Starfire, Wrath, that puts me into Lunar. And if I Starfire, I'm still in Lunar. Right there. That, okay. I think that's what's going on. Is that a talent? Okay, so we're looking at Starfire. Okay, so it has nothing to do with talents. So, at least I don't think it does. You guys are probably like, what the heck is he talking about? What's going on? I'll explain here in just a second. I'm trying to... figure out where this is coming from. Okay, I want to see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so this right here, Alkin Frenzy, right? While that's up, if I Wrath, okay, that time it did put me into an appropriate Eclipse, but before it wasn't putting me into an Eclipse. I think I'm gonna have to play this back and find out. Okay. Yeah, what's going on there? You guys saw that, right? I cast Wrath like 3 times. And it didn't put me into an Eclipse. What is this? Okay, so that was a double Wrath cast, right? Okay, right? You guys are seeing that. It's not just me. Right? Wrath into Wrath. And it doesn't put me into an Eclipse. Am I missing something here? So let's see if I do it the other way. If I Star Surge or Starfire. Hang on. Okay, so that counted from the previous one. This is weird as all hell. Okay, so we just cast a Wrath. Right, so we're starting fresh. We're going to try Starfire, right? So we go here, Starfire. Into Starfire. Into Starfire. Weird. We still didn't get an Eclipse, right? Casting 2 Starfires empowers Wrath. Casting 2 Wraths empowers Starfire. Okay, we got the lunar eclipse that time. So what's the deal? I need to check chat. Stellar flare and new moon are still there. Is it night and day? Maybe you should alternate to get into either eclipse. Well, it should be. It should work on the back-to-back. Right? It should be Wrath. Wrath gives me lunar, which it just did. And then while I'm in an eclipse, it's not going to change, which makes sense, right? So if I let this eclipse go, now I should be able to do Starfire, and go into a solar eclipse, which I did, right? That working as intended. So there's something I was doing there that was like screwing this up, or it was a bug. Wrath into Wrath. Okay, I got the eclipse. Oh, is that what was happening? Is it just an icon issue? Wrath into Wrath. Okay. Right there. That was Wrath, no eclipse. I literally didn't do anything different than I'd done previously. Same rotation didn't work. Let's go find some different enemies. It might be that that group of enemies there is bugged out or something, or there's just something weird with them. I get what you guys are saying, but that's not the way this works, right? It's you just cast 2 of them. Right? So Wrath. I got my lunar eclipse, so that's all good. Starfire spam. These guys are not taking any damage. What the heck? All right, Starfire. All right, we got our solar eclipse, which is how that should work. All right, we got a random Starfire in here. Okay, so it looked like that worked the way it was supposed to every time. Why was that 57 so much more difficult to fight than the level 60 over there? I don't know, but we're going to do it again. Okay, so let's try this one more time. This time we'll try the opposite. No, we'll keep trying it the same way, right? Wrath. Okay, we got lunar eclipse. Spam Starfires. Use our Star Surge. Keep that going. Keep spamming. Okay. Weird. That one. Maybe that enemy had like a health mechanic. What the? What? 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 Okay. That thing's gonna kill me. So I'm gonna... Oh, this is great. Oh, this has got to be a highlight. I gotta send this to Blizz. Just like... I know this zone is full of vampires and stuff. Are you guys seeing this? Oh, that's amazing. Please tell me somebody else saw that. No, I think it works the way that it's... As far as I can tell, it works the way it's supposed to work. Right? So I can, like, Starfire. Starfire. That puts me into Solar. And then once you're in an Eclipse, it doesn't matter how many times you cast an ability, it's not going to switch Eclipses until an Eclipse is over. Right? So now the Eclipse has fallen off. So now I should be able to just go over and I can do the exact opposite, right? I can, you know, grab this guy and I can... I don't even remember at this point if I did. Oh. Is it just me or did it look like you have to go day first? Wrath. Wow. Weird. I don't know if it should work like that. So if I pull this and I go Starfire. Starfire. It did Solar. Like it just did it. I was like, maybe you have to go Wrath first, but it literally just did. So if I cast another Wrath, now I go into Lunar. Yeah, it just seems... I just think it's bugged. Yeah, there's... I don't think there's any logic here. I just think it's bugged. Yeah, that was a clear example of it not doing one thing and then totally doing it a few seconds later. Maybe you can't have two Eclipse, the same Eclipse in a row. Yep, that's something else we can test. Let's try it out. All right, so if we go... All right, we'll try to get two Lunar Eclipse in a row. All right, so we got our Lunar Eclipse. Just gonna let this Lunar Eclipse fade away. All right, it's gone. So then if we Wrath and Wrath and Wrath and Wrath. Okay. Now that we've killed this enemy and we're out of combat, can we go right back into a Lunar? Okay, so this is a fresh enemy. We ended combat. That looks like it's it. Doesn't matter how many times I cast Wrath, but if I cast 2 Starfires, it should go solar. Yep. That's it. That's it. It does not read that way. I get what they're... I get that, like, I get it, but it should, like... That should be in the tooltip. Okay, and we just went back into Lunar. So then if we cycle through... It's also really weird to me that it doesn't reset when you leave combat. You know what I mean? I feel like it definitely should. Okay, so it should tell you that you can't have the same eclipse twice in a row in the tooltip, and it also, I think, should reset if you leave combat, right? Because that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you end on a lunar eclipse, but you want to open combats with a solar eclipse, you just can't do that. I feel like it should definitely reset with combat. What do you guys think? Even if you change mob, yep. And like you saw, like that was the case. Yeah, like you're a lunar locked after a lunar eclipse until you get solar. Yep, that seems to be what it is, which I'm fine with if it's like you have to go back and forth. That's how it used to work anyway, was you had to go back and forth between the two. Because the way it used to work in one iteration of balance is you kind of like went from one side to the other, back and forth. But I definitely think that should be in the tooltip. And I definitely think it should reset when you're out of combat. So I'm going to put those in there. Should state in tooltip that you can't repeat the same eclipse consecutively. Also should not track previous eclipse. Also should reset. What's the best way to put this? Should reset eclipse tracking, I guess, if you leave combat. That way you can start combat with the same eclipse consistently. I think that's good. Should state in the tooltip that you can't repeat the same eclipse consecutively. Also should reset eclipse tracking if you leave combat. That way you can start combat with the same eclipse consistently. I don't know that those are bugs, but I want to report that in. Yeah, maybe it's on cooldown or something. No, it looked like no matter what, like I just couldn't switch to the other eclipse. Or at a debuff to track. I'll throw that in there too. Okay, well, we obviously had plenty of examples of balance right there. And everything that's involved. So last thing to check out is Resto. Like I said, the talents for balance are pretty much pretty straightforward. I'll come up with a build and stuff for the like open world questing guides. And Resto is going to be a little bit of a weird one to check out here, just because I don't have anything to heal except for myself. But we're going to go over the highlights. So the couple of main things here, Swiftmen got a change. And then we also have some changes to Nature Swiftness and Nourish. That's mainly what's going on with Resto Druid compared to current Resto Druid and BFA. So Swiftmen has returned to an old school version of Swiftmen, which is honestly the one that I'm used to because it's the one that was prevalent when I played a lot of Restoration Druid, which is, I don't even remember what it does currently. I think it acts as like an additional hot or something currently. Does that sound right? Let's see. Swift Mend. Okay, yeah. So the current version uses a chunk of your mana to instantly heal a friendly unit for some amount of damage. It's going back to the historic version where now it consumes a regrowth, wild growth, or rejuve to instantly heal a ally for a certain amount. So the thing with Swift Mend, when it first came out, the idea was that you have all these hots on a target, and the swift mending is consuming that hot and condensing all that healing down into a single quick instant heal. So that is the functionality that it's turning back into. I like this functionality. I like Swift Mend as this. It's what makes sense to me. But like I said, it's the way it was when I played a lot of Resto Druid, which was 3-4 expansions ago. I played Resto Druid in Vanilla and BC primarily. Some Lich King. So I like to change to Swift Mend. I feel like there are enough other new ways to like heal and stuff that have been added in the game for Resto over the past several years. That changing Swift Mend back to the way it was is totally fine. So Nature's Swiftness. Let's see here. Go over to Resto. We have Nature's Swiftness. This now says your next regrowth, rebirth, or entangling roots is instant, free, and castable in all forms, and heals for an additional 100%. So this is the way that I remember Nature's Swiftness as well. So this doesn't seem new to me, but this is a change. And then we also have a update to the Nourish talent. So this says heals a friendly target for 1600, receives triple bonus from our Harmony Mastery, which says your healing is increased by 7.7% for each of your restoration heal over time effects on the target. So Nourish is going to gain triple that, so increased by 21% for each of your restoration effects on the target. And that's the bulk of what's changed for restoration. We've got some cost changes, some cooldown tweaks and stuff like that. And then once again, there's a lot of changes to the spell ranks, since that's sort of a new thing they're doing in Shadowlands, where as you level up and you get new ranks for your spells, they add new effects and benefits. So I think the big thing with Restoration is having the access to Heart of the Wild is going to be nice to let you do a little bit of off whatever, whether that's, off DPS as balance. I imagine that's probably what you're going to do, is tap into balance Heart of the Wild for that, if that's what you want to do. And then also just the fact that we have several Druid abilities that are available across all the specializations. So now, as Resto, if you're world questing or whatever and you want to, you can go cap form. And in cap form, you've got Shred, which will build up your combo points. And now you got Ferocious Bite. So you can spend those combo points on something. Which is maybe not super relevant because you're probably just going to be casting anyway, using this toolkit instead of the Feral one. But you never know. It's always fun to sneak around as a cap and move past a bunch of enemies and things like that to, just kind of skip a bunch of battles you would have to fight. So that is a look at Demon Hunter and Druid with some interesting testing there with trying to figure out that balance stuff. It took a little while to figure it out. It definitely did. It was weird that I noticed it, but we got it sorted out. Like always, I will be like always. I've done this literally one time before. I will be making the introductory spec guides for all specializations before Shadowlands actually comes out, so that day one you can pick up whatever class, whatever specialization you want, watch a 30-minute video on an introduction to the specialization, and get out there and quest and level and stuff right from the get-go, knowing what you need to do. That way, if you want to switch mains, or you are gonna definitely main warrior, but you always play arms and you want to play fury instead for a little while, you'll have a nice resource that will help you be able to do that. Those are my favorite videos to make, so they're definitely coming down the line. And when we do that, they're going to be like the ones I have up on my channel now, where I'm going to go through and we're going to set up the action bar and go through the rotation and all that kind of good stuff. So that's the purpose of doing these deep dive videos, is just to catch me up on the changes, see what's different, see if any of the new talent builds are viable or more fun because of changes that have happened. Like sometimes they might tweak a few things with the spells and abilities, and all of a sudden it feels like you have a gap in your rotation, and a talent that previously I would have skipped because it kind of felt unnecessary now gives you a button to push in that gap, and so it's a little more fun to play that way. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I didn't see any votes come through for classes to do on the next deep dives, so I'll give you guys, I'm closing out the stream here. If you have a class that you want a deep dive for, feel free to throw it out now, and I'll get it added to the list. And like I said, I probably will do like one that I want to do and one that, chat has asked for. And we got Murphy there with Hunter. Everybody else, you still get a chance to pitch in. This will be like a popularity thing, so if Hunter gets drowned out, too bad. I will tell you that the next one I'm probably going to do is Shaman. Shaman is a pretty high contender for main for me, so I definitely want to check it out. Now, after looking at the Druid changes, I actually like the flexibility they're adding with Heart of the Wild. I like some of the changes, with Swiftmen in particular and Nature Swiftness on Resto. I haven't played Resto Druid in a while. I am looking to try to get more into healing this expansion. And I always historically have liked Resto Druid. Feral feels like it's in an okay place. Guardian is Guardian, and Balance has changes that are interesting enough for me to want to mess around with. So Druid, actually, I'm picking 4 mains for this expansion, 1 per Covenant, 2 per faction. So I'm going to have like 4 characters to play, and I imagine there's going to be one that's like the main character, and then the rest are going to be like secondary alts, and then all the other alts are just going to be ones that I play whenever I get the chance or when I need to make a guide or something. And so Druid is not a contender for that #1 main that I'm going to play all the time, but it's a contender for those other 3 spots for sure. And I do like out of the ones that we got to test today, I like the Necrolord ability the most. The other ability that we tried was the Night Fae one, and that one's pretty decent as well, but I really like that Swarm idea. That seems super cool. And that also to me kind of adds to the flavor of flexibility, right? Because if you're healing, you can throw that out on someone you're healing and increase your hots, but at the same time, if you're throwing like a Sunfire or Moonfire onto a boss target, when it jumps off of them and onto the boss, it's going to amplify that damage. So you're doing a little bit of like off-spec stuff, getting some damage in as a healer, and then it bounces back to an ally and pumps up those heals again. Like it just kind of fits in with what I think I would want to do with the Druid. So in terms of if I was just going to pick based on Covenant ability alone, I think I'd probably go Necrolord on Druid. I don't know if it fits with the like role play idea that I have for Druid, but I think it could, because Necrolords are all about like gladiator style combat and fighting and being cutthroat, and I really like Feral, and that theme kind of fits. So I think it would work in that context. If I was trying to focus on like balance and restoration and stuff, I think I'd probably want to go like Night Fae. And that ability is nuts. Yeah, that ability is pretty crazy. Hunter and then Priest. I know you love them. I don't have an issue with Hunter. And I don't have an issue with Priest. It's just my least played class, all right? Plus, I think Priest still has a lot of problems. Priest is probably going to just kind of default be towards the end because I'm hoping that they take the opportunity to make some changes to Shadow because I don't like Shadow in its current iteration. Apparently, they haven't made that many changes and everyone is still yelling at them to please change Shadow. So I'm hoping that between now and as we get closer to launch, Shadow is going to change pretty significantly. So Priest is probably going to be the last one that I do, or one of the last ones that I do. So I guess the next class overview is going to be Hunter and Shaman. So we'll do the male classes in a single video, which will be pretty sweet. I don't think Hunter's going to end up as a contender for a main, but I think I'm still going to have fun playing it. So, all right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. I got to take off for the night. I do have to work tomorrow. Luckily, it's a closing shift. I had a closing shift today, so if I decide to do another class deep dive, it'll be at relatively the same time as it was today. So if you want to tune in for that, you know when to do so. Probably somewhere in the vicinity of 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. Rogue would be cool to see too. Okay, well, we'll see what people vote on tomorrow. So right now we're locked in. We're going to do Hunter and Shaman on the next stream, whether that's tomorrow or not. I don't want to overcommit here. We'll do Shaman and Hunter, and then we'll see what the votes are. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and you haven't liked it already. If you're new here to the channel for some reason and you're tuning in, watching me test classes, sweet. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And if you want to watch more of these videos and if you want to know when I put out guides and stuff like that for Shadowlands, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to check the links in the description below to get to my Twitch channel, which I haven't used in a while, but probably will because I don't want to flood YouTube with a bunch of streams, but I'm going to. And the Discord channel, if you want to join that and hang out with us. All right, everybody. Hope you're having fun and whatever it is that you're doing. As always, I'll see you on the next video, the next stream, the next whatever. Peace.